last night watching lyric analysis videos.
Nothing wrong with it. If you gotta, find your passion and follow it.
Didn't know it was possible for quintuple entendres to exist, but
Me neither.
that's a thing. It's a thing now.
I don't even. That's what? How many is that? 10? No, that's 8.
Five.
Five entendres. Oh my gosh, that's a lot. And I'm sorry, 5 double entendres. That's 10 entendres.
Well, I think it's just 5 references in one. That's why they say quintuple.
Oh,
Because 10 would be septuple. No, would that be 7?
yeah, I don't know. Wait.
John, help.
Sep is 6. Isn't Sep 6?
How much is 10? How much if you have more than 2 tuples?
Well, if you have 10, it's deca.
Decatuple. Yeah, okay.
Decatuple?
I don't know if there's a decatuple.
Mr. Decatuple was my art history teacher.
Good old Mr. Decatuple who
Yep.
Lived upstairs.
Yep.
He was always a little loud in the mornings,
Yep.
but a considerate neighbor nonetheless.
Yeah, he was fine. He came in. He would check my pipes and things like that.
They say I'm coming in hot. Somebody said.
No, you sound fine. I think you sound. I think they mean you're coming in hot with
maybe
the.
your takes or
Yeah, your takes or
like
something.
You're in here. You're doing it.
Yeah, your mic's okay. You sound good. I think. Here, say something.
5 lover boys, certified pedophiles. Wop 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 wop.
Wow.
Fuck them up. Sorry, there you go.
Damn, look at that.
Yeah, I think that's what they were talking about right there.
I can smell the beef on that.
It's a good line from the song.
All right. Well, dragon beef. That's where we're headed next. Let's get in there.
Oh, great. We're going to talk about dragons?
Oh, hell yeah. Dragons always.
Let's get passionate.
Let's get passionate about dragons,
talk
everyone.
About large lizards with wings sometimes.
Here we go. It starts in 3, 2, 1.
Car.
Well. Welcome to Core, the only podcast made for the whole family, unless you're a little kid or a very old lady. I wouldn't recommend that they check this show out. But everybody else.
We have an old lady on at the end usually.
Yeah.
We're the only show giving them a voice.
She's different though. She's a special lady. And deserves our special attention. Anyway, we're here. We got a show to do. We're going to talk about video games.
That settles that.
Yeah, that settles that whole issue. Don't worry about it. We're going to talk about games today. We got a lot to talk about. This has been a weird week in gaming for a lot of people. But there also been some kind of bright spots for me anyway, personally, in the gaming world. So we'll get to all of that here in a second. Real quick here, though, I was just going to make a note that so we got in the mail this awesome stuff. I don't know if Bose has arrived yet. So I don't want to.
I don't think so, but when last I checked, no, it was not for.
So the folks at Glorious sent us these, and John, I think you got yours, right?
I got mine. Yes.
Sent us these sketch keycaps that they make for any computer or any gaming.
Oh, sick.
What do you call it? The keyboard, where you can swap the keys out. It even comes with a little key swapper. And I immediately, the first thing I did was change out my WASDs to be the color ones. And then I've slowly been going key to key and replacing them all, and it makes your keyboard almost look like what's the word, like cell shaded, kind of like this cool, like it's being drawn in real life, but it's they're just keys, and they have a bunch of different kinds. They sent us a few sets of these things. They're totally rad. Now here's the good news. Well, first of all, you can go over to gloriousgaming.com.
Wow, those look sick.
Aren't they
so
cool? Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
They're coming.
Canada processing facility.
Yeah, that's right. They're
coming.
Canada and they're freaking shipping.
The border guys are probably taking out my toys and playing with them before I get them.
Custom guys got some sweet new keyboard swag at home. But anyway, these are coming to you. They got to me and John. They're very cool, and we're going to be giving some away coming up soon here on the show. So go to gloriousgaming.com. You can see this stuff ahead of time, see what's going on, and then we're going to give some of these away for any folks who might want them. And this is a pretty good value. We're talking like $80 for a set on the site, and there's going to be some freebies. If you don't get them, good news, you can still buy them. Although the word on the street is they are selling out fast. They just launched these. So they're going very, very quickly.
So do they glow or do they?
They have translucency. So if you already have a keyboard, let's say, that's just full of glowy keys or whatever. What do you call that?
LEDs.
LEDs.
Lights.
Thank you. That's nice. Well, glowy keys is not the correct term, and I shouldn't have used it. John is right. If you have keys that are LED lit or have programmable patterns and all that, that stuff shines through when you want it to. If you want it to, you don't have to though. The colored keys are cool when you mix it with all the black and white because you kind of just separate your game keys. Like your QASDAR and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, I like it.
It's very, very cool.
Awesome.
So anyway, go check it out. GloriousSgaming.com. More on those giveaways soon, and should be next episode or so. We'll start doing some contests, maybe even between now and then. We'll start them. So big thanks to Jules, by the way, Jules Scott in our community.
Oh, thank you, Jules.
Yeah, who's over there. She's working with those folks and is the one that reached out, and we really appreciate it. And she's in the chat. All right.
Have you guys gotten a chance to use them yet?
Yeah, mine are on here. I can't lift it up, but my gaming keyboard is all blinged out now, and I've used them. They feel great. I like this thing where the WASD, the letters are actually on the front of the keys, and they face out to you, almost like stadium seating. It's kind of hard to explain.
Okay, I think I get it. Yeah.
And it's great. I don't know why. I don't really even need letters on them, because it's WASD. It's just sort of your natural place to put your hand. But it's awesome. They're very cool.
No, still, it looks sick. I just have boring uniform color on my keyboard. It's backlit, which is nice, but yeah.
Yeah, mine throbs.
The keys is actually kind of nice.
Mine throbs and has a light pattern that moves through. I'm
They
sure it's
throb?
programmable. Yeah, it's what brand is this? It's an EVGA. They make the video cards as well. I got this from Doghouse when they sent me.
Your keyboard, your whole keyboard throbs.
Yeah, my whole thing throbs in lights, not in vibrations or anything.
Oh, okay. I thought you had some haptics on yours.
No. That's a very special upgrade that I do not have. Anyway, go check them out. GloriousGaming.com. Let's get to today's big topic. Whoops, where is it? Here it is. All right. So I'm sure everybody's heard about this by now. The gnashing of teeth has continued to be pretty fierce since this stuff leaked, or not leaked, when it hit the news. Microsoft did a wave of new layoffs once again, and closures. So this is actual studio closures, and I wanted to do some context on some of this because there's been some confusion. So Arcane is basically broken up into two studios, two factions of game development. One is Arcane Lion, which is responsible for the upcoming Blade game and stuff you love, like now I'm going to forget their names again. I do this every time. The first two.
Prey?
No, before Prey. What were the ones?
Dishonored.
Oh, don't give it to him, Bo. Let him wriggle on the hook again.
Why do I always do that?
I messed up.
I can't remember Dishonored to save my effing life. I don't know why.
Yeah, I know. I wish I remembered sooner.
It's all right. I'll suffer with something else later.
Chat would have given it to him pretty quick.
Yeah, that would have been all right.
Chat was on it. Chat's ready.
Yeah. They know how I do with Dishonored, but for whatever reason,
I know. But usually, what we're gonna do is get a good wrong word out of you, and I didn't wait for the juice to get squeezed out.
Disproportionate 1 and 2 or something.
Yeah,
but anyway,
disproportionate.
Those games were the Lion Studio. They're kind of the main, the big ones you give the big stuff to. They're the ones that make the big games. Prey was developed by Arcane Austin, and they've been shuttered. That's also the studio that brought you the fantastic 2023 mega hit Redfall. And Redfall was, a mess and launched bad and all that.
Yeah, but it's kind of crazy to have one mess and good other success and then be shuttered.
Well, here's the here's the context though.
One bad game shouldn't kill you.
No, I agree. But here's the context. Redfall, the team that made Redfall, by the time Redfall was being developed, 70+% of the team that was responsible for Prey are long gone already. So they're not even there anymore. They're not that studio anymore. And it's not to say, well, you don't have any of those cool Prey people, so F you, you're out of here. Nobody's entirely sure why they got targeted. And even more freaky is why Tango Gameworks, the makers of Hi-Fi Rush, a game that is lauded both critically and fans love it, also recently just ported to PlayStation 5, and according to Microsoft in previous comments and conversations and interviews, sold really well and did really well for them, and they were hoping to make more of those. In fact, just yesterday, seeming to never know what one half of the company is saying, they said Microsoft put out a statement saying it needs more games like Hi-Fi Rush a day after killing the studio that made it.
Yeah,
we need more games like it. Not from them though.
Not from GameWorks.
They're done.
Not from
they
Tango.
don't get to.
Yeah, it's really weird.
It feels like even the game. I made this joke on Twitter already, so if you saw it, apologies. But it feels like the games themselves need a union at this point.
Yeah, it feels like it.
Like not just the workers, but like the actual just
like the IPs.
You like Hi-Fi Rush? Well, you're not getting any more.
Yeah. It's
we
really
loved it. It sold well. It was perfect, but you're never getting another one again.
But goodbye. Well, I mean, technically, you're just not going to get one from that team, or maybe you never get one ever again. This is the problem. We don't know. And so far, I'm just going to, I'm just going to shock anybody. We give them a lot of leeway to Microsoft's plans for the future, and things. They talk a lot of good talk, and they talk about the future of games and preservation, and they want to buy a lot of studios to make amazing experience for us, the players. And then they do this stuff. And I just go, oh, well, maybe you don't have our best interests at heart. Maybe your bottom line and your shareholders matters more, which it always did. Okay, I know that. I'm not naive. But I had really hoped that... What was that sound? Did you guys hear that? What was that?
No.
Oh, I heard a weird...
I started a sentence and then stopped because I didn't want to interrupt.
I heard a popping noise. I thought it was me. I'm sure it was fine. Anyway, where was I going with that? Oh, we just, it's like, oh, Phil Spencer, he seems like a gamer. He's one of us. Cool. He'll keep doing this. This is all extremely disappointing. And I hate it, and it bums me out. And I think that this burns even more. Like, they had an opportunity here not to do this kind of shit in the shadow of the mess happening at Sony with everything. If I were Microsoft PR, I'd be like, hiding in my office going, shit. Why did we do this to ourselves? Like, we were actually looking like the good guys there for a minute. And now we look as shitty as everybody else. People keep saying, are you going to condemn Phil Spencer on the show? Yeah, but I'm also going to condemn the entire industry right now. It's all shit right now. This is all bad. And I think it goes to John's whole theory on AAA games dying a slow and horrible death. And I'd like to toss the microphone to John to get an update on how you feel about all that now that we've got another example of consolidation leading to closures and, nothing but negativity. He hasn't come out and said anything yet, by the way, nothing from Phil on this, no social posts, no nothing. A bunch of players did nuke his Fallout 76 camp because they're on his server. So that was a thing. I don't know if people feel...
That's funny.
It is funny.
That's good.
It is funny. What do you think?
First of all, well played.
Yeah.
Well done, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think the biggest problem, I've been thinking about this a lot. The biggest problem right now with all of this is that the people we need to fix this are the people least incentivized to do so. Mm. And I think, because you think about it, there's people who are upset. And I don't blame anybody for being upset. This sucks. But I'm seeing a lot of anger reactions of I'm never buying a Microsoft game again. I get it. And I'm not going to tell anybody don't do what's in your heart. If you can't bring yourself to buy a Microsoft game, don't do it.
Yeah.
Fine.
BEAU.
But let me tell you, if we all stop buying Microsoft games, it's not going to prevent layoffs. It's going to cause more.
Mm.
Now, I'm also not telling you to rush out and buy every single product they ever put out. That's not the way to do it either. That's what makes this situation hard, is because it's not as simple as going, well, I'm just not going to support them. Mm. It's not that simple of an issue. Mm. And the real problem behind this, and I've heard other people with, just as hot takes on the other side saying, well, they just need to make good video games. Well, Arcane Austin, who, yes, Redfall was a bad video game, capital B bad video game. Mm-hmm. And all the interviews and behind the scenes and news we heard out of that was that team did not want to make that video game. Phil Spencer himself came out and said, when we acquired them, we just assumed that they were going to make a great video game. We didn't go hands-on with them, and it sounds like that wasn't the game that they wanted to make. Those were decisions made by higher-ups, C-suite individuals, pushing them towards chasing trends and making games that they weren't interested in making for a quick buck instead of having a passion behind it. Video games, hopefully we're past our video games art debate. I hope we're past that.
Yeah.
It is an art form, and it's a group art form, which makes it hard. An artist can take sole control of a painting or a drawing or, whatever. It's a lot harder when you're a team of many, many people trying to come together and create a uniform vision. But it's an art form. And as people chase more and more money, the decision to craft something good goes by the wayside. And we need more quality video games that get people excited, that get people buying it. And we need smart decisions being made by leadership. Like, to a degree, this whole debate isn't even really about what quality video games were they putting out. This is a answer to like what we heard from the head of Larian. Everybody overhired during COVID. Now they have to balance the budget because, hey, surprise, the pandemic and the times that it led to aren't going to last forever. And now people are paying the price for it. But it's not the people that made the decision to overhire. Those aren't the people that are being penalized.
Right.
It's the people that got hired. And that's what I mean about the people that need to fix this are not the people that are impacted by this. Those individuals are not the ones losing their jobs right now. They're not the ones in the studio getting shuttered. They're the people that are doing the shuttering, and they're not facing the ramifications for their bad business decisions. They're probably the ones sitting around going, it underperformed. Like, that's the thing that you're going to keep seeing. But that's not really what it's about. And I think that's what makes this so difficult, is because unlike a lot of problems where we can say, like, vote with your wallet or, the same platitudes you always hear on things, you can't really do that on this. Like, the closest we can get to that is go, hey, yeah, we hope those game developers unionize or get some protections in place for them. But that's not really something that we can sit at home and do, besides going, rah, you got our support doing it. And unfortunately, I think it's going to be something that we continue to see. And I think another side of this, and a side that this is what I think Phil Spencer needs to comment on. Here's what I will hold his feet to the fire on. If the story is going to be that Hi-Fi Rush did not perform at a level they were hoping for, well-received, critically well-received, and they're like, oh yeah, we liked it, sure. But if they're ultimately going to come out and say, oh yeah, these studios were underperforming, we're in a time now where these games are coming out on Game Pass. If these games can't be considered a success on Game Pass, then it's time to acknowledge that Game Pass is fundamentally flawed. And that would be my question to Phil Spencer. How can you sit there and say Game Pass is a good deal and good for the industry if the games that are coming out on it, those studios can't continue to release games after they've put something out? Sell me on the bright future of Game Pass if you're shuttering the studios that are putting their games on it. That's what I think Phil Spencer needs to answer to.
Yeah, that is a great... I didn't really thought of it from the Game Pass perspective, but it's a really good one. Like, I maintain it's one of the better values for gamers that there is. But if it isn't sustainable, then we should all be worried that that's a thing that's going to either go away or change radically. And he probably should address... He should address all this stuff. I think he should say something publicly. I think faith is lost in his leadership as a result of this week. And I think that there's a very good chance he'll step down, honestly, in the wake of this. I don't know. They haven't responded, so we don't know how they're doing it internally or how much faith they have in him. But this is as bad as it's gotten for them PR-wise.
You
since
showed that podcast, which wasn't that the Xbox thing? Wasn't that also an explaining why we're doing some shit?
yeah,
Podcast?
it was also yes, it was the one where he addressed the previous layoffs and
Right.
talked about
They're gonna
how
trot him out like this every time. See, because the thing you showed it and triggered me, and I'm like, I hate the chairs they gave them. Like that. That says everything.
yeah.
I don't like give the if you want people to have good conversation, sit them in a comfortable chair. That's hostile. Those chairs are hostile, man. Those do not look like comfortable chairs.
Well,
I said it last time. I say it this time. Look. Why do they have to have their legs up? That guy's like barely sitting in his chair. He's like can't decide. He kind of wants to stand. Maybe like give them some good chairs to sit in.
all right. I mean, truth is, I'm guessing this is just a guess, but I know this happened at Blizzard a lot. But there are people.
Look at how uncomfortable Phil looks.
Well, that's true, but there's a not faction. There are people that are at these big companies whose job it is to constantly set dress anything public, and they'll rush around and do that.
I mean, I'm sure
regardless.
there's some swanky looking lazy boys. Like that's nobody games on this.
You should have seen how picky Blizzard was about what was behind me when I hosted the digital version of the Q&A. Like they were really worked up about that. I had to have nothing Star Wars. Yeah, none of my Stormtroopers, nothing that was like a competing game thing of any kind. It had to be Blizzard stuff or nothing. And even if it was nothing, I mean, it was a real scrutiny moment.
It's clear you're not a Blizzard employee, so you should be able. It's fine. Like I get it. It's not a critique, but it's your house.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah.
It's my house. I like Star Wars, and I'm a guest. So it's like.
I guess I'm saying is I don't mind it, but I'm just saying there are people whose job it is to make sure all that shit is whatever they think it should be, whatever standard it should
there's
be.
PR. There's a yeah. I know what you mean. That's what I'm saying. That's indicative of a sickness among the people there, like in the company, because what happened is a sickness. Like to say like. We love Hi-Fi Rush, and then in the second instance, like taking it on face value, that's like talking to a psychopath. That's what. Do you have any pets, Scott?
Yeah, I do. I have a dog. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I take care of your pet dog? I love dogs.
Sure, if you'll feed it and
then sure, yeah, and I say all that, and then you let me look after him, and then I kill him.
Yeah, you kill my dog.
And you'd be like, oh, like psychopaths. Say nice shit sometimes. Sometimes they seem normal. Sometimes when it's bad, they seem normal. And this is some psychopath shit. like literally to be like, we love Hi-Fi Rush, and then to be like, let's kill it, or even to be like, have a game like Square Enix did, huge successes, and be like, yeah, they're failures. Sorry, guys. Like that's psychopath. Like something's dysfunctional about the organization as a whole to be having mixed messaging with all of these companies, and I just think it's because everything's built on quicksand. I think the long-term lookout for things is precarious, and they got to be safe and whatever, like John said about overhiring. There's probably a rationale for everything, but it's not because anything's that bad or that dire.
Well, they're rationales that are based purely on. We have to make a cut. Where are we going to cut it?
Like the average quality of game has never been better. Like you might not like something, you might have issues with certain aspects, but games generally release with awesome graphics and they blow anyone away 10, 20 years ago with what our standard of what we deem acceptable is that bar is so high compared to, in the NES days, it'd be like, you'd be lucky if you get 30 frames. Sometimes the game would slow down to a crawl, and sometimes games would just they'd feel not fully fleshed, but you kind of just still be happy playing it because it's a game. And now it's like if it does not have an award-winning narrative and like excellent inputs and all, mini games and everything else, it's like maybe it's trash, but it's like they're actually not as bad as we make some of these games out to be. I'm not saying we should adjust the way we look at them because there's reasons why we are where we are, but it's hilarious that we have like on average superior like quality products and everything's getting trashed so thoroughly, and people are getting laid off and all that.
I think Mr. Johnny Blue Jeans in the chat has it right as well. The market is oversaturated. I think that's 100% part of this.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back. I feel like I didn't answer your question that you asked me, which is how does this lead to the AAA games are dying belief?
Right.
You know, and I think that point is exactly there. Like, you know, Microsoft probably looked at spreadsheets, looked at numbers, and didn't really. I mean, you don't put out a tweet the next day saying we need more games like this if you've really thought long and hard about this messaging. You know, like you just don't. And so I think to tie it back to AAA games, I mean, you're looking at years of investment and time to make a AAA video game, and the budgets are getting absolutely insane, and that's why we see so many sequels, it's part of this franchise, part of this property, because people have to try and save whatever money they possibly can by making it a safe bet, because it's feeling more and more like a bet. And you know, we've talked a lot about how the cost of games has not gone up that much. Nintendo 64 games, and yes, they were in cartridges. It was more expensive to make. There were N64 games that cost what video games cost today.
Yep.
Like the price of video games has not gone up an insane amount. You got all these different attempts to try and figure out ways to monetize your video games, to collect the money, to justify multi-year budgets, insanely large teams, you know, middleware that you have to license, all of it, and people don't want to take risks. And I honestly, I can't blame them. You know, like, that's an insane proposition. It has to be walked back a little bit, or pretty soon everybody's going to just be making indie games, because that's all that's going to be around to do.
Well, and part of Microsoft's problem is they started doing this investing in studios thing when the boom was happening around the pandemic, and video games seemed to be soaring along with other entertainment properties. It was just like nonstop. This is never going to end. What a boom town we're in. And then that didn't last forever, and now we're having to face that. And there's lots of sectors across tech that are having to face this now, but games are not immune to that. And because here's the problem, Microsoft had made the bet, right? They were making bets, like you said. I think calling them bets is the right term as well. And I think they were hedging those bets by painting it in a way that Phil Spencer paints it. He likes to come out and really, gamers this and gamers that. And I'm wearing a Hexen shirt, and that means I'm one of you. You know, I'm not saying he's being deceptive. I think he really is probably a decent guy who likes video games. I'm not saying that none of that is actually true, but what I am saying is them allowing him to be that kind of leadership style was hedging a bet. And the bet was that they would win on all fronts, that this deal with Activision Blizzard would go quicker and easier, and not a bunch of devaluing in the meantime, which it did, and that demand wouldn't diminish. Like, a lot of those bets they lost, but they still tried to code it with Phil Spencer coding. And now he is like getting, you know, just drilled for it, and he deserves it. But it was their choice to do that. They could have remained cold and calculated like Sony does most of the time. That pisses us off too, but at least we saw it coming. Like their whole thing, and we'll get to the story later about how it all turned out and whether I'm eating a hat or not on the air. You know, Sony backed off of a thing because of pressure, but they have stayed Sony, just cold, calculating, unfeeling. They're just kind of, you never feel like you're dealing with a warm human being at the front office of that thing. With Microsoft, they gave us that impression. That was their way of being different, setting themselves apart. Come on over here, Game Pass, it's easy. Bap, bap, bap. All that stuff added to the mystique of it for their plans. And those bets didn't all pay off, and now they're having to face investor pressure and everything else and make cuts that they probably don't really even want to make, but they got to. In the twisted world that is...
Yeah, I was going to say they feel like
they have to, because profits are above everything, and you can never lose, and you have to show growth every month. And like all of those weird ass rules that high finance plays with, they felt like they had to do that, like big companies do. And now that image of, well, I'm Phil Spencer and I'm wearing Not Tekken. What was the shirt he wore? Hexen. I'm wearing a Hexen shirt. I'm cool. That stuff's starting to sound. That's starting to sound real fluffy and lame. Like, are you though? Like, really? Like,
Well, and like you said, it might be true, and there are people that are saying, well, Phil Spencer has to resign after this. You have to get rid of him. Again, I feel like I'm by no means defending Phil Spencer, because I think even back in the day when we were talking and joking about Uncle Phil and stuff like that, like I've always been very quick to point out that no matter how many video games he plays, he's still on the corporate side. He's still going to make that decision.
Yeah.
I haven't been a manager often in my business life. The one time I did, I certainly didn't get paid for it, and they made me fire somebody on my second day post-promotion.
Ugh.
Like, I didn't go into that job going, man, can't wait to fire somebody. It's not how it works.
Yeah.
Phil Spencer, I do think he cares about video games, but he cares about doing his job. His job is to make money, and his job is to be a corporate executive. Like, that's the position he's in. And he might go home and be devastated that y'all nuked his Fallout 76 camp. That might make him sadder than anything else that's happened. Like, he may be able to take all the mean things you said about him and be the saddest about his Fallout 76 camp. But it doesn't matter how much of a gamer he is or isn't. He's in charge of the company. He's responsible for it. The buck does stop with him when it comes to the games division, so he does have to be held accountable. But if he left, if all the people calling for his head got what they wanted, you're not going to get another gamer in there that goes, all right, peace and love, everybody. We're going to bring in, let's hire everybody. You're going to get another guy. Well, I don't know that it's a guy, but it's probably going to be a guy. And they're going to come in and want to make as much money for the company as possible. You're going to get another one. You're going to get another robot in a suit. Doesn't matter how many changes you make to this position, it's going to be that position. So it's understandable anger. I don't think it's necessarily directed in an effective way.
Yeah. And also I like to pad all of these happenings, and this includes anything when Sony does something real stupid. And it's right now we're just getting kind of week after week, big bombastic moments of scandal. It's like, holy shit, do we even want to talk about this stuff? Sometimes I don't. But I always try to pad all this with a reminder to myself that if I go look at the front page of YouTube, I'm going to be very disappointed in how we and those we call influencers do this. Because if I see one more thumbnail that shows like a little picture of Phil Spencer standing in the center of hell with flames around him, like, come on, you guys. Like, can we just talk about the stuff without the hyperbole, without the I said this last week with the mess with Sony, and I'll say it again with Microsoft. Like, there's real criticism to be had. There's real issues to be had, and there's anger to be had here. And it's all some justifiable stuff. But people capitalize on this worse than the people who are doing the cuts. Like, there's some capitalization happening on ideas and concepts that just rile people up for no reason. I hate that part of this. I realize we live in a country full of free speech, and there are many countries and regions with similar values, and so we want to be able to say whatever we want. But gosh dang it. Did anyone not listen to Uncle Ben? He said, with great power comes great responsibility, all right? So maybe don't thumbnail yourself to hell and back just for the
Uncle
hits.
Ben didn't have to do any engagement farming.
No, he did not.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
If that was his job, he would.
Yeah. I hate it. Clickbait, all of it, and I hate it. It bugs me.
Scott, here's my recommendation.
Yeah.
Don't engage with it.
Yeah.
Stop
I don't.
Looking at it. I know you kind of have to because you're on a video game show.
Right.
You post YouTube content. So I say this knowing that, like, it's the same way when I say, like, you don't have to have a good reason to dislike a video game. Well, we kind of do, because we need to come on here and say something better than I didn't like Dune, it had sand in it.
Yeah.
Like, we need to offer up something a little deeper than that. But in general, you don't have to go you don't have to go engage with it. If you don't like it, I don't blame anybody for not liking it. I'm not saying like, go watch your favorite influencers. They're going to really back your best interest. No, if you're sick of it, don't engage with it. But like it's a ship that makes money for the people doing it. They aren't going to stop because you don't like it. You can't change them. You can only change you.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're totally right.
And
Me saying this is going to do nothing. I mean, I hope it influences somebody to maybe be less hyperbolic in their life, but this is...
The algorithm's bad too, because the algorithm should be able to tell if you don't like those kinds of like if the idea that there's an algorithm and the idea is to serve us like a waiter, if you have a waiter, right, and you're like, I'd like a poutine, please, with a Coke Zero.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
yeah.
And then the waiter comes back and gives you cordon bleu instead or something, and you're like,
What is that? Is that a
where's
French...
my poutine? I don't know. I think it's like a chicken. It's a chicken dish.
I love how
like
specific
blue
this
cheese.
is to Quebec and not anywhere else, but I love
Yeah,
it. All right.
but if they bring you the cordon bleu and you're like, voyons donc, esti, that's not what I ordered, then you'd be mad. And I feel like the algorithm fails constantly, where it's like, can I opt out of lame ass, like anything with a lame? Can you use your AI to figure out what a lame ass a thumbnail looks like and just not give them to me? Thanks.
Well, I think
You
part
can,
of it...
you can. You don't ever click it, and you click the little buttons, and you say, don't recommend this channel. You do it every time you see it.
Yeah.
And eventually, if there's no more YouTube left, then you
No,
know
it
that
doesn't
it was
work.
not for you.
There's no
It
more
doesn't
YouTube
work.
left.
It doesn't work because, like, if I let autoplay run, like, I fell asleep the other day and I had headphones on, and like
Don't
it
have
autoplayed.
autoplay.
It
Don't have
autoplayed to
autoplay.
a 3-hour interview with Tucker Carlson.
Engage,
I have
engage
no
in
interest.
content you want to engage with. Turn off
No,
autoplay.
it's not my fault. Their algorithm sucks balls.
Okay,
My
but-
shit does a better job of being feces than
Yes,
the algorithm does of
But
serving me
here's the
things
problem.
that
You
I
assume
want.
the algorithm exists to serve you, and it doesn't. It exists to serve ads. They don't.
No,
care.
it exists to serve me. That's like maybe it doesn't, and it's like the employee it's like the waiter not bringing me the food I ordered. It's terrible. It's terrible service.
Yeah, they
We're
want
getting
you-
terrible service.
No. Because if you're going to use your
Yes.
waiter analogy, it's like sitting down at a restaurant and saying, "Please continue to serve me food," and then like you order one dish and then say, and then just keep food coming, and then eventually going, "Well, I don't like this." Well, yeah. You didn't tell us what to bring you, so we just eventually
That's a
got
fair
to food
point.
you didn't like.
Well,
a fair
I'm not
point.
able to tell it because there's no like instructions. I can't program I have no influence on the algorithm. I should be able
there
to.
is. The way you program it is you go to the restaurant and you only order food you want. Turn off autoplay.
Turn off auto food.
Well, I don't
Yeah.
watch it on autoplay. It's like when you type youtube.com, it barfs up 9 options for you, right?
Right,
And
right.
they're bad. A lot of them are just shit. Like you don't know me. Like I don't want this.
I think you both have actually pretty salient points. I'm trying to imagine a restaurant where I would go. Like, just imagine this: you go, you sit down,
Just say, please continue to
just
bring
keep
me
it coming. Like, and they'll say, I'm sorry. Well, what do you want for all the extra food? No. Just this is autoplay, sir. Please just keep whatever it is. Just keep it coming. And eventually, that place, no matter how big that restaurant is, they're going to run out of the good stuff. And
It
they're
just
just
seems to me there's already a system where it's like if I subscribe, great, and then there's a discover button, and if I want to like roll the dice, there's a place. Like they most websites do this because they've made their service shit, and there isn't any competition. Like if the only restaurant in town is going to make money no matter what, and they start peeing in your food, and they're like, go somewhere else, bitch. And it's like, nope, you have to have pee food. Well, then they're gonna. That's like the state of internet services right now, like the big ones, which
Yeah.
we like them, but in my opinion.
well, they have less. There's not enough competition in internet services. That's
Anyways,
true.
all that to say, these Xbox thumbnails and these takes, it's just like, there is a way to get them off your homepage. There's that 3 dots, the sandwich dots
Yeah.
or
The
whatever.
the
Yeah,
burger.
don't recommend
Not-
this
not interested,
channel
don't
or not
recommend.
interested.
Yeah.
But it'll
Now,
it'll
who
still
knows what not interested does? I'm thinking that one's pretty
It
vague.
keeps
but
it off your homepage, but it will still autoplay them.
Yeah.
It won't autoplay for me because I don't autoplay anything.
Yeah, I turn off autoplay. I don't have it on.
Well, I mean, if I fall asleep,
If
like
I fall asleep, it doesn't autoplay because I have autoplay turned off.
Yeah, you just have to turn it off.
Oh,
And once you're off, it'll stay off. It'll keep it that way. So that's one way.
yeah.
Autoplay is
just
a
never-
nightmare.
I never touched that setting.
I will sometimes have it on for music stuff, but it veers. Like you're right, Bo. It veers. It goes.
Yeah, it's good for music because I do connect it to my Bluetooth and I'll listen to K-pop and just let it, surprise me, right? Like,
Yeah.
And it's pretty good for that.
It's not bad.
Kind of,
Yeah.
it's okay. It kind of just gives me the same stuff where I was like, it can be a little more random, but I can make a playlist and fix that. So
I had it doing music once, had it auto playing, and left the room for a while. Came back and it was on some cooking channel, like somebody was cooking.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that isn't music at all. This is not what I ordered. But yeah, YouTube aside, we'd love to hear what you guys think. Here's one thing I do wish would stop with these big controversies. Does Mike Ybarra have to have a big hot take every damn time? I'm not saying he should not exercise his own personal.
People liked what he had to contribute to the conversation, I think.
To this one? Really?
No.
So yeah, I was hoping you were kidding because people are
I'm being
tearing him
sarcastic.
limb
I
to
don't know.
limb. He is getting wrecked over this one. And
It's understandable why he's not at Blizzard anymore, which is the sense that I had of him, and also I was able to make some inferences based on who might have retweeted some criticism of said thing as well, which I'm not going to out them here. So
no, but there are people out who work at Blizzard.
I saw such and so retweeted this, and I was like, oh really?
Yeah. There are people at Blizzard who are like ripping into him.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
it's not
Yeah.
often that you see somebody who like fairly quiet for the most part while he was in charge of Blizzard step away and then go, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get out there and really say some things and just continuously. I mean, again, I'm sure for the people that are like actually interested, they're like, yeah, you tell him, Mike Ybarra. But for everybody else, we're like, oh, okay. I confirm exactly the kind of person.
If I have it
you are.
right, he's like basically just remember that CEOs are humans too, and they have it hard as well, pretty much. So,
yeah.
Yeah, which I
Great.
look.
Good shit-
For the
good
most
shit,
part,
dude.
yeah, that's basically
Awesome.
what it is.
The
Way
thing
to lay
is,
it down, son.
he's right that they are people, and he's right that he's wrong about everything else. Like it's criticism like this is warranted. It's just warranted.
It's just read the room, right? Like,
Yeah,
you
read the
can say
freaking
that.
room.
You don't say that the day of a bunch of mass firings.
Say it the
like-
day Phil's gone.
I know it's hard to lose your job,
Then
but it's
go,
even harder
"I
for
wish
me to
people
tell
knew."
you that you've lost your job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
no one wants
Yeah.
to hear that.
No. And if Phil leaves or is forced out or whatever ends up happening, maybe he'll stay. I don't know. But whatever ends up happening to Phil Spencer, I can promise you this with all my heart, soul, and every molecule in my body, he'll be fine.
Not in Fallout 76. That shit's gonna get nuked every time.
Yeah,
He
and you
needs
should.
to uninstall that game. Those days are done. That community's done with you, man.
I love how much this is my favorite news of this whole thing is that his thing got nuked. I just think it's so
I had
freaking
no
funny.
idea that happened, and that's my favorite thing.
Like
It's
literally
so-
nuked.
It's
like,
that fun level of petty. Like, so often we think about when all these controversies happen, you hear about it all the time. People who take it too far, people who do death threats, people who, like you said, the YouTube thumbnails of like, he's gonna burn in hell for this and stuff like that. Like, there's a way to certainly suck the fun out of everything. I'm not saying that people losing their jobs is supposed to be fun, but death threats is certainly a step too far.
agreed.
And so to me, this is the step too far in a fun direction where it's like, you don't get to play here with us. You're gonna be dicks to people in the video game industry. No more Fallout 76 home for you.
Yeah,
man.
we're nuking and all your
We're
shit is
nuking
nuked.
it.
And you lose all those. I think the way it works in the game is you lose all those resources.
So wait,
and everything.
this is like a persistent thing that Phil has in the
Yeah.
game world.
Yeah, one of the server he's
He
on.
did.
The server he's
Yeah.
on has a.
Not
How
anymore.
do people know where his account is? Is this like a
Well,
That's crazy.
because in part of that cultivating I'm one of you visions, he's very proud and
Oh.
shares that information with people, and now people have blown up his home.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
map.
But,
there's a map of
here's
it.
here's a question for you. Like,
See if I can find it.
how much of that was just people doing that shit for him, versus him actually building? I guess it's a symbolic gesture. It's enough.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
for all I know,
It
he
doesn't,
was.
it doesn't matter. Okay, I just thought maybe if you spent 300 hours working on the thing, and then blew it up, then he's lost his, in the way he was laid off from Fallout 76. and that's it, one type of hurt. But
Yeah.
if people built it in his name, then it's mainly a victory and symbolic, which is still, a
No,
diss,
he built it.
Yeah.
It's his.
It's his.
gone.
I don't think there's any reason to believe it isn't
You
his.
think he built it? Not well. He's like, I'm the CEO, and then 10 people rush to help you. Like it happens to me a little bit in Season of Discovery, right? It's like, oh, Bo's here. Here's your raid flasks. Like
Yeah.
like I didn't earn them. It's just a nice thing, but
It's possible. We just
I'm
don't
trying
know.
to gauge the level of hurt. If he built that, if he spent 300, he's like, I put 300 hours of my spare time into building something in one of Xbox's revered properties. It's a good hurt.
His public gamer tag will tell you how much time he spends in games, and it's quite a bit if it's him playing. I don't know if his account is getting used by a
let's
couple
not go
of
that
underlings.
deep. Let's assume it's him playing.
Yeah, but look at this map. Isn't this great?
And he didn't pay his employee.
Yeah.
To play. He's like, it's a marketing campaign. You need to play and pretend you're me. So
Look at that map. You guys see the map I brought up? That's the radius of his ruined camp. That right there. Just
Wow.
destroyed, man. I have one of these camps. That would suck. I would be pissed, but then again, it's I'll bet he probably saw it and went, oh geez, of course they blew up my camp. Oh,
I
shit.
mean, I'm by no means saying this justifies anything. I just get a massive kick out of it.
I want the timeline where this happens and he gets real petty and he logs in the game and gets super toxic about it. Like EVE Online style.
Yeah. Yep.
Like Fallout 76 is not EVE Online, but EVE Online, that's real life for those guys. Like you mess with their stuff and they plot vengeance.
Yeah.
Like, failure, CEO, you need to get to work. He's like, not until I get every last one of the assholes that blew up my base and Fallout.
Yeah.
He's lucky that Helldivers isn't on Xbox. People really take it out on him. That'd be the end of him dropping with people right there.
Oh,
He'd
hell
get
yeah.
shot in the back of
yeah.
the head every time.
Can you imagine if that? Oh my gosh! All these controversies. If they were all one company, what would they even do? I mean, would they? I guess they'd probably be fine. They just have to get shareholder money. That's it. That's all they care about. At some point, you're so big, that's all it is. You're not going to put Microsoft out of business, everyone. You're not going to put Sony out of business. But John's point about AAA's slowly falling apart.
I don't want it to be true.
I don't
like
want it to
AAA
either.
Video games, but we all need to, we all need to do our part. I think doing our part is also kind of understanding that this can't keep going like this.
Yeah.
Oh man, I just had an idea from chat because someone asked. You showed the picture of Phil's homestead, and I was like, "Is that a image of Drake's house?" I was like, "Oh man, someone should do a Phil Spencer diss and use that image as the cover.
Oh my gosh,
make it not like us, but do a Phil."
You should do it. You got a
Things
guitar.
are going.
You got a guitar. Make
yeah,
it.
and they're not like a. Oh my god,
You should do it.
Oh man,
should do
Bo's gonna just log off, start going right now.
You think
The
he's
Phil
tired
Spencer
tonight?
diss track.
Wait till tomorrow. Real quick, the runner of the Arcane Lion Studio, which is still in full effect. They're making a big Marvel game and all that. His name is on Twitter anyway. His name is Dinga Bagaba or something. Anyway, he got on Twitter. This is a guy currently owned by Microsoft, currently making projects for them, and says, "This is absolutely terrible. Permission to be human. To any executive reading this, friendly reminder that video games are the entertainment/cultural industry, and your business as a corporation is to take care of your artists and entertainers and help them create value for you." That's pretty hardcore from a guy who's still working for you,
Well, yeah, and that's what I mean. Like the issue with this, and I saw someone in the chat say, when I was saying hey, if you do what you want to do. Again, it's not my job to tell you what to do, but saying I'm going to boycott Microsoft games is not going to stop layoffs, unfortunately. If it was that easy, then that is what I'd be trying to encourage everybody to do.
Yeah.
But somebody said, well, what do we do? What's the solution then? And that's what makes it hard is the people that need to change isn't us. It isn't the developers, it isn't the artists, it's the executives. And there's no incentive currently for them to do it.
Yep. I think that's
they
pretty well
fail
said.
upwards. And if the company fails, they have golden parachutes if they're the one at the helm. there is no accountability really for them,
Yep.
like barely.
Yep.
So there's no incentive to fix the problem.
Ooh, this just in. The guy, we now know who nuked it. I'm going to put his picture up. Here's this character. He nuked his camp. His name on Twitter is Joe Grizzly Bitch. And and this guy waving right here doing the emote, he is the nuker of the camp. He's taking credit for it. So there you go.
All right.
You
Great
know,
job,
not
Joe
all
Grizzly
heroes
Bitch.
wear capes. There he is.
Some of them wear purple power armor that he bought in a store. Yep. All right. Well, that's enough of that. Let's move on to what we played this week, because I think this is where there were some high points this week. Turns out indies are doing pretty good. Small studios, they're doing all right. A lot of cool shit coming out. We're going to talk about it now. Let's talk about this one. You remember the old the V Rising? Do you remember that? That's a thing.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played a lot of that for a while.
We did during our early access period, and BEAU had a server running and all that stuff. Well, I have some good news to report. 1.0 is out, came out, 2 days ago? And they have added so many great little quality of life things to this game. I can't even list them all. I think they listened to tons of feedback. There were things I personally wish that game would do, and it does. There's a lot more control over your instance of the game if you're running your own server or a private server. And the public stuff works as well. The only real downside is they had to do a wipe kind of across everything because there were so many changes. So some people aren't happy about that, but are they ever? They're never going to be happy about that in early access. Anyway, it's real strong. I'm very excited to be back in, and I played a ton of V Rising this week. And
Maybe I should
it's
try
great.
it again. I didn't stop playing because I disliked it. I just moved on to other things. Like V Rising is great.
Yeah, nothing wrong with V Rising. And this is a solid ass survival, builder crafter game. And they added a bunch of cool voice stuff that I didn't know was going to be in the game. So, like all of the big baddies you have to hunt after their blood and find them and kill them as you level through the game, they are way more voice. There was some voice before, but like when you're sucking their essence out, they have a lot of great little one-liners. And
They say this
this sucks. So, vampires suck.
bite me.
Yeah. I want to be your bud, they say.
Now, is the early game still very similar to what we played already, or is it like, does it feel different? I haven't played since the first EA cycle.
It is I think it plays better. It's a smoother progression. There's a lot of more sensible things about how you store things. Because your inventory in that game can get really unwieldy. It's like, oh my gosh, I got to have how many boxes for this? I got to rename them all. They've gotten pretty creative with that. Oh, they added controller support, and it's great. I played most of my time in this week on my Steam Deck. It plays so good with controller. So anybody who was out there going, oh man, this game would be great with controller, it is. It's very good with controller. Keyboard and mouse support's still great as well. But it is, I don't know, it just feels like a polished, finished game. It just feels really good.
So let's answer Loot Walk's question in chat. Do they get V Rising or Dark Souls?
They get V Rising. I don't think it's Dark Souls at all.
Then?
I think
that is such a. I'm gonna say, don't just immediately believe Scott on that. Like that, they are very different video games. Dark Souls is a very unique experience. It is one of the best video games ever made.
So get it, go buy it. It's like $4.
I was trying to give this guy
something.
clarity, John, and here's the Souls Defender.
Well, yeah, it's one of the best video games ever made. I'm not going
to argue with you on that. I was just trying to help the guy, but now he's back. He's back in indecision paralysis.
Yeah,
but they're also extraordinarily different.
They're nothing.
Like if somebody was like, should I have a burrito tonight or sushi? It's like, well, what are you in the mood for?
Yeah, no, John's right.
Oh, I want sushi.
John's right. Don't. If you want whatever experience you want, you should do. I think that for me personally, this is the kind of game I'd rather play. But this Dark Souls is fine. It's also cheap and old. Go get it. It's fine. Go play Dark Souls. Get them both. That's what I'm saying to this guy. You know what?
Hey, I can only get one of these. What's your advice? Get both.
Get both. Okay. Yeah, buy both video games.
Yep.
You know what? I'll find you a code for Dark Souls somewhere. I have one somewhere. And
do you?
Yeah.
Give them a code. Yeah, there you go. Buy V Rising. give this person Dark Souls.
Let me double
Look
check.
At that.
I got to double check, make sure I still have one, but I have
man.
a ton of codes.
Oh man,
Hold on,
disappointing people.
Hold on. Let me see if I got it.
Episode promise at a time.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling about
Person was
this.
so stoked for a second.
Dark Souls.
Oh man, they still want $40 for Dark Souls. Oh no, 2674 remastered. That's not too bad.
No, it's all right. Right?
All right. Well, if you can't find your code, we'll buy it.
Here we
I'll
go.
buy it for this
Oh, I can give him Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin.
that was not what he. All right, I'll buy it for the guy.
Look at that.
Let's see.
How
Look
do
at
you-
Bo.
how do you-
Once
how do you-
again,
Stepping up to
Bo
the
putting
plate.
his money where Scott's mouth is.
I mean, Dark Souls 2 is cool, right? You don't want that?
Well, he wants to play
No.
the first one.
Wants
He
to
or
play
she, I
Dark
don't
Souls.
know.
Look, I didn't say Dark Souls 2 is one of the greatest video games of all time. I said Dark Souls is one of the greatest video games of all time.
Okay.
Can you just buy a code?
Yeah.
For a gift.
You do gifts. Well, you can do a Steam gift. Those are easy. Hold on. I'm just trying to make sure I don't have this, because if I have it, I want to give it to him.
All right, hang on. Send. How do you get people to friend you on Steam?
I have Metal Gear 5: The Phantom Pain. You want that?
That's a great video game too.
Yeah, it is. I'd give him that code.
That game's fantastic.
Yeah.
I constantly want to go back and replay that.
Yeah,
game.
I'm always tempted. I got Rise of the Tomb Raider, Resident Evil 5 Gold Edition. Nobody wants that.
I'll take Dark Souls 2, Scott. You can send that to me. I
Okay,
don't
I'll
think
send it
I
to you.
own it.
I'll send it to you.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I got a few weird old.
How can
codes.
I recommend it if I haven't played it? So yeah.
That's a good point. Oh, that's true. I assumed you had. I'm sitting here thinking you've got a definitive reason why you don't like to, but you haven't played it.
Mm-mm.
All right, so to that person, I sent you a message to friend me on Steam. I sent them an invite, and then I will send you your copy of Dark Souls, and that way you can play both.
That's right. And then the rule is you got to.
Yeah, you gotta buy V Rising.
gotta buy
Bo's
V
your
Rising.
friend now. He'll know.
Yeah.
He can or he can't. We're not gonna. It's
No, he's
it's,
got
we're-
to,
It's
Bo.
a random act of generosity.
He's
I'm not
got
putting
to.
conditions on it.
No conditions.
No,
Okay.
you're not.
Now, I
am.
see you refusing. Don't be too polite. It's just $20. I'll live.
Yeah, it's fine. So this guy.
$26. I can afford it. So
Yeah, but the point is, V Rising is great. I'm sure Dark Souls is fine for people who like Souls likes. I don't like them, so it's not my thing. V Rising is very good though, and I'm not saying that we need to rush out and have a server again or anything like that. I'm just saying that this game plays great. And one of the options I did turn down was like how quickly my castle degrades. I hate that thing, so I turned that way down.
I just need to interrupt. I sent the message in your private DMs over Twitch. So check that.
What's his name? What's the screen name?
Lootwook. I messaged
Lootwook
on
All right.
Twitch.
Lootwook.
Nice.
I have sent you a private DM, so you probably have to go to the top and click on your whispers up top.
Who says this podcast doesn't interact with its fans and listeners live?
I mean, if you don't have it, then I'm not sending it. But
I mean, people to
confirm
this
in the
day
chat.
talk about the contest that we aired at the end of the show as one of our better moments.
Yeah.
So, Scott promising Dark Souls to somebody only for Bo to have to buy it for him is just right up the same alley.
It worked out though because John got Dark Souls 2, and that's really
Yeah, this really who ultimately wins. I do.
the one
Thank you, everybody.
I will say that the one that I'm curious about that I never picked up and I've just always been curious about is Sekiro Souls Die Twice or whatever the hell it's called. What's it called?
Yeah.
Something dies twice. Never die twice. Or
You
something.
never you aren't curious about Elden Ring?
No,
That one even got Bo on board.
But I have Elden Ring, and
Yeah.
I bounced pretty early. Maybe when that DLC hits, maybe I'll be more in. I don't know.
Well, Bo's supposed to train you. He's supposed to be your what's his name from Rocky? You gotta get in there and kill him. You gotta
Get him,
eat
Rock.
lightning and crap thunder.
Get him, Rock. Yeah.
That's what he's gonna be for you, and then you'll like Elden Ring.
I'll tell you what else I'll do. Whoever can put it in Steam fastest, I'm putting Dangerous Golf in the chat. Boom, go.
Ooh.
Put that code in quick. It's a Steam code. Boom, boom, boom. It went to Twitch and YouTube. There's your code. Whoever got it first, you win.
There's people on Twitter like, why? Why did I choose this?
Oh no, why am I on Facebook? Ah. Well, anyway, let's move on to another game I played. And this is going to shock you guys.
Except for the fact that we can see it. But yes, I'm prepared to be shocked.
Yeah, be prepared to be shocked. Or not at all. Farm Together 2. Yeah, that's right. There's a second Farm Together game. And I like the Farm Together 1 game. As you know, it was a farming game. You know, you farm and stuff. And I liked it because it was kind of cute and, you know, straightforward, and there was not a lot of technical stuff. Just a goofy farming game, right?
This just gives me flashbacks to when everybody was talking about Farmville. That's all I see when I look at this. I'm not saying it's as bad or anything like that. That's all I see.
It's a fun farming game. You farm shit, you do quests, you unlock skins, you put in new crops, you drive around. It's 3D, third person, all that. I will say this: if you played the first game, this is really more of that. They didn't do anything majorly crazy. There's some quality of life changes.
Was there a big need for this?
I mean, if you're a fan of the first game, sure. And that first game sold a ton. They did really well.
I just mean, like, what was the need that Farm Together 1 wasn't fulfilling that this now does?
It does feel like, okay, I'll be honest. It feels like some quality of life features they could have added to 1. Do you know what I'm saying? Like there's very little difference so far. I mean, there are some big differences. There's a whole city you visit and you do all kinds of questy stuff there. That was not in the first game. So they've added things. It's in early access and they're actively cranking on it. I already got 2 updates for it. So who knows where it ends up. But as it stands right now, it does kind of feel like I'm playing 1 with a bunch of features that you could have added to 1.
Hey, Scott, you just asked who knows where it ends up. Yeah. I can tell you.
Go.
Farm Together 3.
Well, I'll be spending $17 or so on that as well.
Okay, fair enough.
I really like Farm Together. I don't know why the person in this is running around individually watering their crops. They need to be in their tractor. That's the whole point of the game. Is the tractor
basic farmer right there.
Yeah, this person is really into the manual labor. But anyway, I was already a fan of the series. This is more of that. That's good. Been playing that a lot. So Farm Together, everybody. 2.
All right, just to follow up quickly on that, congratulations to Loot Walk on his copy of Dark Souls.
Nice.
It's been sent and received.
Now, one other game I played that is in the similar vein and is currently a bit of a darling on Steam is this weird game called Rusty's Retirement. And the screenshot I'm going to show people is going to confuse people. What you're seeing there is like this stripe at the bottom of your screen. That's the game, and it sits there. I have it running right now on my PC, or on my Mac even. It just sits at the bottom of your screen, and you get a little robot guy who's retired, and his job is to enjoy his new farm life. And part of that is him planting crops, and then you tend to those crops, and you have little harvest bots that you then install, and they go and harvest for you. So all you're really doing is planting, I guess, upgrading, opening up new areas. I think it's infinite how far this strip can go. You just middle mouse it to the left or right kind of forever. And you have a little farming sim. Here, I'll skip ahead in the video so you can see a little bit more progress. Oh, this guy's slow. But you just start plotting plots and putting in new crops and then unlocking, I got carrots right now, but hey, I want to unlock those tomatoes. Well, you sell enough carrots, they'll let you do tomatoes. And it's a little farm sim, and it just sits there. And like a Tamagotchi, you just check on it occasionally and go, oh, all my wheat has been harvested. I should probably plant some more wheat. And you plant some wheat. And then you're like, oh, you know what? Decorations are in order. I'm going to put some flowers up by this house I built. I'm going to put some flowers down.
Let's real quick, because I do know a little bit about this game. The reason for the giant black space above is because this will sit theoretically on top of whatever you might have.
It's not even theoretically. Right? 100% does exactly that. And I don't know why this person doing this doesn't want to show their desktop. They're obviously doing it to not show their desktop. But normally behind this are your icons, your other apps, or whatever. And it doesn't...
Your Excel spreadsheets, your Word documents, your Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, the whole thing is designed for...
whatever it might be.
It's all for undiagnosed ADD patients like myself, where we just want to have a thing going all the time, right?
This is one of those in-between games when you're like, you lie to yourself saying you're being productive, and you need this thing to run while you do the other thing, until you finally confess you just need to play a real full screen game and turn off the work.
You're 100% correct. It's mostly idle though. Once you establish or build certain things, it just sort of goes. Now you want to keep growing so you get enough gold or whatever the currency is. They're gears, I guess, little gears because you're all robots. You then want to spend that. So some of that spending is on upgrades to your existing buildings or robots or more land. So you choose to tear down a big chunk that costs you 18,000 gears, and your little guy goes over there and slowly chops it away. And while he's doing that, you alt tab back over to whatever you're working on and do your thing and just check it here and then there. It's overwhelmingly positive on Steam, so I'm not just some weird lone idiot.
Of course it is. Like, hey, this made my Zoom meeting this morning extremely survivable.
Yeah.
Like, I would give that a big positive too.
Yeah, it is definitely got its whole design is that. That's the job of this game, is to be this thing in the background. And so far it's going really well. They're at let's see. Well, they got almost 5,000 comments, which tells me that's like 30% of people comment, or not comment, but leave reviews. So
get ready, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to see a few of these in the near future.
That's what this feels like. Like they're a little bit onto something, and now they're going to start making more. And you never have to leave the productivity stuff behind. You just have this running in the background. All that said, BEAU is 100% correct. It is people lying to themselves that. Honestly, it's just an ADD thing for me. Like, I feel like
I've been down that road a lot because like one of the I like to play those Banish type games if I'm working from home, and I'll put it on the second monitor because you can just let it run. It's a simulation, right? So I put it on normal speed. I make a few adjustments, and then I go back to concentrating. But within 10 seconds, I'm like, wait, how are things going?
Yeah.
And then after an hour of not doing anything on the primary, I'm like, I think I should just close that and work, so
yeah. No, it's and in this case, the game is a mix of, yes, you're playing something and there are mechanics to it, but there are definitely, it's not a thing that requires your constant attention. If I leave, a tornado's not going to come and destroy stuff while I wasn't watching or something. It's not meant to be that. It's supposed to be chill and just kind of a thing. And it works for me. I like it. It's fun. That's Rusty's retirement. I also played more Fallout 4, and I might start a fresh run of Wastelanders 3. I'm just in the mood for this kind of Fallout-y stuff, and I never gave that game a proper run through. I think I got 6 hours in and got distracted. I'd love to get back to it, so I think I'm going to play Wastelanders 3. In the mood for a little tactical, XCOM style combat and a little bit of, Fallout and Mad Max thrown in there. And I don't know. That game left a good impression. I just didn't ever get back to it. So I think I'm going to do that. And that's what I played this week, or considered playing. John, let's throw it over to you. You're playing the latest game that just came out today. Brand new stuff. Tell us all about it.
I am eventually, but boy, for a while, it was just one video game in here, and it was one I've talked about plenty. I was feeling real bad about what I was going to be bringing to the table this week because most of my video game time has been dedicated to a little game called CyberPunk 2077, a game that I have played through. This will be the third time in 2 years, which is insane for a game as long as it is, I think. Maybe other people agree with me. I don't know. But there is something about this game. I don't know why. I didn't get in thinking, like, I'm going to play through Cyberpunk again. I got in because I was like, I have an itch that needs to be scratched. The Fallout games didn't cut it. Let's see if this game does it. And not only did it scratch the itch, but then I was just like, I'm just going to play this game. It's all I want to play. I come in, I see a list of video games. I have since purchased other video games and installed them and gone, yeah, but what if I just played Cyberpunk instead? Like, I don't need to necessarily play this. There's just something about that game. And I saw somebody tweet it out. They said it was a hot take. I think it was Jesse Cox retweeted this saying that he's a little bit biased. Which he is, because I've certainly helped Jesse Cox with his Cox problem a couple times in Cyberpunk. But I do agree with the hot take, which is they said that if Cyberpunk 2077 came out in the state that it is right now, it would be lauded as one of the greatest video games ever made.
100%.
And
100%.
I have to agree with that. I cannot believe how much I enjoy this game every time I play it, and it's just insane. The detail, the world, like again, it's a shitty world, and I don't know why I enjoy spending so much time in it. It's not like you walk around and you're like, man, what a beautiful city this disaster is. Like at times it is, but there's just something about it, and it runs and plays so well now.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. I don't know how a game that looks this good runs as quick and perfectly as it does. But not to say that it doesn't have its share of open world jank, but so far the things I've run into in it have been pretty fun. Like that you can almost make a story about. Like I was just walking down the street and all of a sudden this truck is like the truck got angry at the police and it just started repeatedly slamming into a police car, and the cop opened fire on it, and then the truck was like, you want some? And it ran over the cop too, and then just tore off down the road and crashed into a building. And I was like, that seems like that's not what they programmed into the game, but I was incredibly entertained to have seen it happen. So that's fantastic. I am running as a net runner, which Bo said is cheating, and it is 100%, but it feels there's also something so cool about like hacking a camera, spreading contagion to a whole bunch of enemies, and then just walking in. You don't even take out your gun, and you've just got people going falling over as you walk through and collect your quest objective. Like you feel like you're the villain in a story, and the person that wiped out the whole building without having to fire a single shot.
It's a legitimate power fantasy, so it fits to me, even though it makes things maybe easy. It's the kind of easy that fits the role,
Yeah.
That's what you'd expect.
I feel like that's what a net runner should be, because that's what they do to you.
Right.
You're like, you get a net runner on you, and you're like, oh man, I'm behind cover. You shouldn't be able to do what you're doing to me. I hate it.
Yeah.
So it's most of what I played, but in order to avoid just talking about a game that I have talked about a lot on this show, I did pick up a new game and I did play it, and I do want to recommend it.
Oh, I've heard so many things about that. Okay, sorry, I got all excited because I just saw the name. I want to know more about this game. Take it away.
I picked up a game called Animal Well.
Yeah.
And Animal Well is cool. It feels almost like somebody listened to what I said about what was the name of that game? Is it Zao?
Oh,
Tales of Kanzera Zao.
That one, yeah.
I think
weeks
I
ago.
said that right.
Yeah.
So I love that game. It's still high recommendations. I'm going to draw a comparison here, but not because I think they're like super comparable. But when I talked about it, I said I almost didn't give that game a shot because I feel like there's this weird trend in Metroidvanias where you spend so long being tutorialized to about here's jumping and here's how to do this and here's how to do this. When you think about like the original Metroid game, like you were just kind of thrown in, and it's like you got to discover how all this stuff works. There's no assumptions really to be made, and you kind of have to just solve it for yourself. This feels like that. And so I'm hesitant to say too much about this game because I really do feel like this is a game that's designed to be discovered and unlock secrets and stuff around. And that seems to be the avenue they're playing in. Now, you're not an intergalactic bounty hunter shooting enemies and stuff like that. So far, you're mostly this little potato turd man just running around, and there's animals and you're doing stuff, but you start to pick up items, and those items do interesting things, and there is no story so far. I don't know what it is. There might be a story. I haven't found it yet. There's no like big tutorials short of like you go up to something and it will tell you that there's a button prompt, and it'll tell you lightly what that button prompt will do. So the game is really all about, hey, you experiment, you figure this out yourself, and learn how the systems in the world and how everything works, and keep exploring, keep seeing. And it feels almost like a puzzle game in that way, like a Metroidvania style puzzle game where it's like, oh, well, now I can do this, so let me experiment. Does that mean I can do this? Yeah, it does mean I can do this. Or, oh, I have this. I bet that'll interact with this thing, but I got to find a way to get back to that. So it's kind of going back to that those early days of you're in this world, a Metroidvania style game world, but you don't really know the rules and you kind of have to figure it out. And I'm really loving that element of this game.
This is I do want to say one thing about the art style. It's incredible. Like my first impression of this is just it's in my cart, but I went over to look at this because somebody else online was like raving about it. And the colors in this and the weird, like it's pixels and pretty simple in a lot of ways, but it's breathtakingly beautiful, this game.
Yeah.
Just gorgeous. I'm not even sure what to call this style. Like, I'm looking at this now just going, man. I mean, I have to play this game. It's been in my cart all day. I'm just going to buy it right now.
Yes.
Yeah, well done,
John. I did
John.
it. I barely played anything this week, but I got Scott to buy something.
Well done. You got me to do it. It's $22. Looks like not bad. And everyone I've talked to is like, play this game. Don't wait. Like, this is the biggest.
It looks cool, actually.
Yeah, look at just the look of it, man.
And I don't want to say too much about it because, again, I feel like the whole purpose of it is just like discovering it and experimenting. And I don't know if there are like weird twists, if things dramatically change. So I hope I've done enough to give you a base understanding of what it is. And if that sounds cool, go check it out. If it doesn't, I guess go spoil yourself on it. But like, it seems like there might be some interesting twists and changes that you might not expect from a gameplay perspective. So we'll have to see what that all is.
I now own it. I own it now.
Yeah.
And from what I heard, it was Totillo, or his name is, used to work at Polygon. I think he's at The Verge now. I'm not sure where he is now, but he said that the story as it is unfolds in some really unexpected, it's like crazy interesting ways.
Yeah.
I gotta play this game. I'm looking forward to this. And it's already verified on Steam Deck. Duh. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think the game is like 30 megs according to one review. Like,
is it small?
I think this will run on a lot of systems, guys.
Yeah, you think so? Wow, that's even better. I'm super stoked about this. So I'm glad you played it because that was kind of my holdup. Was just I wanted to talk to somebody I knew who played it and not just rely on online people.
I kind of want to get this too. It looks sick.
Yeah, it looks really neat. All right, well done, John. You're barely played anything else actually worked to make me buy it.
Yeah, I did it.
All right, now
I'm
if you're
wish listed, but I think I'm gonna buy it too.
Do it, Bo. Pull the trigger.
Yeah.
You do it. I mean, you already bought Dark Souls. You may as well buy this. Real quick here. There are a lot of people been asking all week. You guys can play Hades 2? You can play Hades 2? Well, Bo played Hades 2.
Bo did. I'll say it has been hard to ignore. I bought it. Buying it was not a question. I tell people don't pre-order. I immediately purchased this video game.
Turbo
it was not a hard sell at all. But I think I did say it on the show. I can't remember if I did or if I just said it to you guys. But had a great experience with Hades, which was playing it when it fully came out. And as hard as it is to do, knowing it's there and I could play it at any time, I think I'm going to wait. So I'm so happy that Bo played it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not gonna wait. Because I would just gladly just play Hades now. So, do you guys want to hear about it, or
yeah,
absolutely.
No, I don't mind hearing about it. Yeah, I just
because it was the highlight of my week for sure. Playing it was so refreshing to get back into it's Patrick BEAU, friend of the show,
just barely though.
Patrick BEAU. Well,
I'm kidding.
We might be friends. I don't know if he's.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. He's one of my favorite people on the planet. We're like brothers, but I like teasing him. So there you go.
But he said he posted a review of Hades 2 on Twitter. It's like, so if I played Hades. So Hades 2 is basically Hades. Like, like
great. It's one of the best reviews I've heard for a video game.
It's like there's not much more to say other than did you like Hades 1? Well, there's more Hades 1 with a 2 slapped on it.
Yeah.
The game, of course, it's wonderful to meet the new characters. It's wonderful to have very slightly new mechanics in that every button has 2 options, either the tap or the hold, which charges it up for MP spending stronger versions of abilities, which the first one didn't have any MP, right? So this still has a cast button, And the first one, you press the cast button, it shoots something, and you drop a little thing on the ground that you could pick up and replenish your casts.
Yeah.
You don't drop a thing on the ground now. Your cast just burns mana, but you can upgrade your attacks with a mana attack as well as your special with a special mana attack. That's basically the difference. But it adds actually a lot of buttons. Like, it's that whole, like, you added 3 different techniques, which doesn't sound like a lot, but because of all the boons and weapons you can get, it is a lot. And this gameplay you're showing is literally like my first mission, like my first few minutes in the game. So there should not be really any spoilers here.
Yeah.
It's good. So my understanding, at least as far as I've played, is that the size of early access might be the size of the first game at launch.
Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness.
Really?
Yeah, so I was able to go through to 3 zones. That's as far as I made it, but based on what I've heard, it's possible to fight the bat. You fight Hades in the first one and then repeat, right? That's the whole deal.
Yeah.
Well, you fight the ability to fight the bad is of this one is in early access.
Wow.
So this is a pretty polished early access. Now, if I had to guess, the reason why it's in early access, and I'm trying not to get my hopes up, but is that there might be a little more to the second game. It's not, the first game being a 4 zones and hit the boss deal.
Right.
There might be a little more. I can only speculate and guess. I'm trying not to get anyone's hopes up or give any misinformation. There's a stairwell when you go to start the mission that goes down and one that goes up, and my head is like, is there 2 Hades in this game? Like, do I go down for one version of a run, or do I go up for a different version of a run? Like, again, not trying to get my hopes up, but it feels like Hades 2 is going to have a lot more game in it, so to speak. And
it's also a stealth early access drop, right? Nobody knew it was happening. They just did it.
Yeah, they just kind of dropped. They did say it was coming soon, but they never actually set a date for it was launched on us.
Yeah.
But all that to say is, you might not be remiss playing it early in access, because maybe it's half the game. There seems to be a lot in the game. I'm just like, how much is in here?
Because I remember Hades 1 had something like that, where I almost thought they were building up a sequel story, because it felt like, okay, well, it feels like everything's resolved here, but they're like, well, don't let any... I don't want to go too spoilery about the ending, but there was this sense of like, well, don't let the gods find out about this.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, I bet Hades 2 is the gods finding out about this. And that's what the sequel would be. And then that story ended up actually continuing to play out in Hades 1. I was like, oh, I guess not. But that seemed almost like a place where you could put an entire other game within the narrative of Hades 1. And yeah, maybe they do something like that for Hades too. That's crazy. I love Hades so much.
We'll see. I might be smoking on the ganj, and it might just be that it's going to be a short early access period for this one, because like what's here seems really like very comparable to the first game. I'm like, this doesn't end after the first 2 levels. Like, I'm still on the 3rd level and progressing somehow. So
what's impressive too is the art direction. A huge jump from the first game. The first game was beautiful, don't get me wrong, but this one seems like, wow, they really went hard on animation, on environments, on little details. Like, it's beautiful, really pretty.
So I don't want to spoil things about the bosses, because they're such a pleasure to discover, but the second boss is incredible. Like, it's not you know how much I like Raphael's fight, where the boss sings to you?
Yeah.
All right, well, get ready for another one of those. Like, it's so awesome. It's so, except instead of it's a whole band. But anyways, it's good. It's really good.
Well, do you think
like,
it was
to the point where if you take out one of the band members, their instrument drops out of the song that's playing? Like,
that's so cool. That's so
sick.
cool.
It's so sick. Like, yeah. This game is like already like a game of the year contender, absolutely. But we'll see.
See if it comes out.
Like, I'm not sure I want to play it that much either. Like, for the same reasons as John mentioned. Like, I don't want to burn myself out on the game, but at the same time, I've been thinking about it a lot, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to play again because it's fun.
Yeah.
So
how can you not? That's great.
Yeah. So
Cool.
I definitely, if you like Hades 1, and many of you do, you will like Hades 2. So just give them your money.
More time in Manor Lords, I understand, as well this week. Eh?
Yeah, I just wanted to provide a little update, and then I figured out how to grow families. Which I was kind of complaining. I'm like, how do I grow families? So,
Well, you see, when one settler likes another settler very much.
That's right.
No, you gotta increase the happiness. But the mistake I was making is that I don't know if you get a little picky about things. I don't know if I love it, but you have to you have often in these games you have a storehouse so that you don't store things out in the elements where it can be stolen or the elements will damage it.
Yeah.
And your laborers go and pick things from the storehouse and deliver them to the various places they're needed. This one, the storehouses need a worker, which I think maybe kind of makes sense, but I don't love. So the reason why I think materials weren't getting around very efficiently when I couldn't grow families is I didn't assign any families to work at the storehouse.
Oh, so storehouses
so
just had no employees. They couldn't do shit. Everything just sat there and rotted. Okay.
Which like every other game like this, there's never a job like a storehouse. Like there's usually a logistics job where people move things around, but I just didn't. There's a great many things are not documented in the game. So when you finally figure out, oh, okay, there's this, I need to assign a family to a storehouse, and their job is, bringing things around for other people to work on. Then things started to work, and I got like 12 families, 13 families, and my village started to grow. I'm still not like super deep, but to give it a few more hours. Things take time in this game for sure, but I'm enjoying it. I think it's good. Like I'm. It's certainly very nice, and the overall package is very like they planned it well and have executed well. Just like I like that if you maximum zoom out, it goes to the map screen just seamlessly, and then back again. For example,
Yeah. It
rather
looks
than pressing an M
insane.
button.
Like how much
Yeah.
cape they gave that guy that I just watched you moving around. Like how is
Oh,
this
yeah,
game
you look
so
like,
detailed? It's crazy to me.
Yeah, and it's the way it goes from like a God view RTS to you can zoom right in, and it looks like maybe an Unreal Engine 4 kind of deal with everything simulated. Like even when you walk around town, they all talk. They're like, "Oh, I think I hurt my foot with the hammer." Like they say tons of random shit. They're like, "Oh, good job on building that."
Wow.
And yeah, so it's really got it's got a good vibe to it, and the music's very good too. Actually.
Can't believe this is a single developer. It's crazy to me. I know he's got some help.
Well,
but-
there's a bit of controversy with that, which I don't think I plopped in the news, but it's
Oh.
technically not a single developer.
Oh,
Some
really?
people, there was, I can't remember who I was reading. It is a single guy behind this, but he's hired contractors up to 5. And I think the deal was, it's like, well, it's still a small team, but if you've got contractors, is it a single developer? Like single developer is like from start to finish, one guy made it. They put together the music, they put together the art assets, they did the thing. Everything you see was touched by that person only. That's their little project. But if you're, what was it? Is it like Mike Ubar could have said like, I'm a one-person developer with a team of 200 contractors. You know what I mean, or something like that. Like it's like if you got 5 people and you got 5 people, still indie game, but maybe not a single developer.
Yeah.
But I don't know too much about that, except that I wouldn't, definitely what's in here is not like one guy's work. There's definitely enough in here to be like, he can't be good at all of this, I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You've got like model animations, you've got music, you've got, awesome environment assets. Like there's enough here that you would look at and go like, he couldn't possibly have done good at every single discipline in a 3D game like this, but
Yeah.
still, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter how many people made it. It's just part of the marketing. It's a marketing thing, right?
Yeah, it feels like it.
The single developer, because I was touting that too, but I was reading that he has hired contractors. But he's fighting with people. People are like, now that we gave you all this money, hire 50 people to get the updates out faster.
Yeah.
He's like, no.
A lot of expectations around this thing.
I mean, it was the most wishlisted game on Steam up to release. So
Yeah. Well,
but,
deservedly so.
But it's good. I'm enjoying it, and I do recommend it.
Nice.
As like if you're looking for a city building game like this, like I haven't explored all of its features, but of course it's early access. But it's definitely a fun thing to play.
Nice. No WoW this week, or did you still? Oh,
No,
you did.
I have. Like,
Okay.
yeah, it's like just the usual. I'm working on my hammer.
That's right.
Yeah, I've been out there working on hammer. We're still raiding Sunken Temple. That's going well. We're 8 of 8. We did it again, but I mean, there's not much to really discuss. In terms of what's new in the game. I think probably interest is tapered off because there's other WoW stuff happening. They're doing the Mists of Pandaria remix, which sounds like it's just Season of Discovery, but in Mists of Pandaria.
Oh,
Because there'll be leveling raids in that, and then there'll be like new abilities tied to gems that you can slot in gear. So it's like, that's kind of news today, as people are talking about it. So it feels very Season of Discovery-ish. But it's just like Mists of Pandaria. Like you start in Mists of Pandaria, and all your content is in Pandaria.
See, that's interesting because Pandaria represents a couple of big changes in the game's trajectory. When it originally hit, it changed the talent trees entirely. It changed a bunch of model changes. Although the big model changes came with
Legion.
No, it was before
after
that,
battle. Battle for us.
No, it was the other one. The Warlords of Draenor had the big changes for almost everything except for, if I remember right, everything except for Blood Elves, and maybe one other race didn't get changed till the next expansion, till Legion. But anyway, the point is, what was my point?
It's just a weird
My
one to
point,
pick.
if I have one at all,
If I have a point at all, it's this. It's that. Is that it plays so differently than Classic does. So I wonder, is this almost like a third fork of the game in a weird way? Like
this feels like a weird stepping stone between, because Classic Cataclysm was just released, or has it even been released? I don't know. But we're up to Classic Cataclysm, right?
Right.
Mists followed Cataclysm.
It did.
So it feels like they're kind of doing this weird thing. Like, are they going to do a Classic server for every X-Pack? Like,
maybe.
Seems
crazy.
But now we're doing Mists remix, so it's like you're getting another Classic in a weird way. You know what I mean?
Throwing a lot of stuff at the WoW wall right now.
Yeah,
that's a good
There's
way
nothing
of
wrong
putting
with that. I mean, like, hey, if it makes you feel like your subscription is worthwhile, like that's great.
Yeah,
like,
we've been asking for this for years anyway.
A constant problem, as somebody that covered pretty exclusively World of Warcraft for a long time, one of the biggest problems they had was a constant feed of content. So there are worse problems to have, but as from the outside, there's definitely a level of like, when it's like, well, we're doing Classic Cataclysm, which is already a sentence that just baffles me. Mists of Pandaria remix, hardcore, the beta or alpha, I don't know what they're officially calling it, for the next expansion is underway now. You've got your regular retail going and getting patches at the moment. It's a lot of WoW stuff getting thrown out there. So as long as the players are happy, that's good.
That's all that matters. By the way, I'm going to now do another stealth paste in the chat. I'm going to put a Humble Bundle link to a free copy of Red Faction Guerrilla Remastered. Okay, it's very good.
Okay, but you gotta play the sound clip.
Wait, do you need to like?
If you're gonna post something for Humble
Bundle.
You have to play that.
Humble
you have to play that.
Let's find it. I have it right here. That's a good call, John. Let's see, where is it? Here we go. The Humble Bundle. There's the link. Whoever gets it first.
Let's do it officially. Now, Scott, if people want to redeem this, where are they going to do that?
They're going to click that link and go to the humblebundle.com website, and they will be presented with a code. Yeah. What?
Wait, that's where you play the sound file.
Oh.
They go where?
They go to humblebundle.com.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's how that goes. Yeah, I missed the timing on that. John,
how deep is your code closet? Do you have to do some spring cleaning in there? We should do.
Whoops. Sorry, that was a fart noise.
Excuse me.
No, I have a bunch of codes that we get sent codes all the time to give away on shows and stuff, and I always forget how many I have. So I was like, oh, that looks.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. I'm like, do you have like this drawer with like 500 codes that got, just whatever? Like people toss tons your way. It's understandable.
Well, let's look at it this way, Bo. Do you want a copy of? Let's see. Some of these are older, right? Let's see.
I wasn't thinking for me. I was thinking for you.
I got a copy. I got Shadow Complex Remastered. It's a fantastic game.
Oh,
I
yeah.
liked Shadow Complex.
Shadow
That game
Complex
was
is
cool.
good.
I got Mad Max, which I 100%ed. Let's
I have
see.
that one. Yeah.
It's a fantastic game. Blood Bowl Chaos Edition.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Cities XL Platinum. That's not the same as Cities Skylines, is it?
City Skylines 2.
Yeah. A bunch of XCOM expansion content. Darksiders Definitive Edition, like I've been playing recently. Yeah.
Nice.
Bunch of stuff in here. Resident Evil 5 Gold. John.
I already have that.
Oh, okay. That game sucks anyway.
Yeah.
I was thinking more for our listeners. If you've got a closet, we could do like a Bonanza episode where it's just you giving away your codes, cleaning your closet.
Yeah,
I
we
think
could.
I have some codes too.
Yeah, we could have a little code fun sometime. I like that. All right, let's see.
If you needed the space in the closet, I don't want to be presumptive and tell you what to do.
Oh, it's fair point.
I
All
have
right.
FTL.
You have FTL. FTL is amazing. Faster than light.
I have Spec Ops: The Line.
Yeah, I have that as well.
State of Decay.
Whoa, it's a good game. Second one's better, but sure.
I can. Hey, who wants to play The Ship?
Oh, The Ship. What is The Ship? What is that?
Really old game.
even-
I feel like it's like the second game on Steam.
I don't know what that
I
is.
got a code for Torchlight.
Yeah, Torchlight.
XCOM games.
Sure.
Middle Earth, Shadow of War. Oh, this is just a booster pack. Oh, that's cards. That's Steam cards.
Yeah. I got The Darkness
Nobody
2.
wants Steam cards.
Do you remember the BEAU, the XCOM declassified first-person weird shooter thing? I have that.
Yeah.
I almost want to install that just to see if that was shit or not. I think it was shit.
I heard it was not good,
Yeah.
but you could certainly
Try.
let us know.
Contagion. That's a fun one. Euro Truck Simulator 2. I mean, who doesn't want to drive around Europe in a truck? I have that.
That's
Jurassic
fair.
Park the game. It's actually a good game. Alien Isolation, one of the best horror games of all time. I have that to give away at some point.
You need to finish playing it.
Yeah.
Somebody who got invested in you playing it and then barely saw an alien.
I saw one alien and then we stopped.
you gotta get back into that.
It scared me, man. All right. Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back from this break, we're going to do some other stuff, like Dear Martha. We got some other news we're going to cover, all sorts of fun stuff, as well as your feedback. That'll be in just a moment. Stay tuned.
Omega 9, he did make the video.
Yeah, it's right here.
Wololo.
Look at this.
Wololo.
Yeah.
Wololo.
Wololo.
Oh, it's so bad.
Wololo.
I'm embarrassed.
It's so good, dude.
I'm
It's so
embarrassed.
good.
I'm embarrassed.
It's so good. I love the hat over the face. It's a
did
nice touch.
It got a lot
Now,
of nice comments, so it's fine.
You need to do another one.
Oh,
you need
no.
a follow-up.
Shit.
What's another?
I don't know. What is?
I think you should just read the lyrics to Wait For It from Hamilton.
Okay.
Except you say wait for it.
I'll say Waint. Okay. I can do
Wait
that.
for it.
Yeah.
And
Are you gonna
just
do another one?
You just read it out like right into the microphone.
If John,
Where
look,
you're
John's
just like,
he's my
"I am
advisor.
the one thing I can control.
He
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Wait, just 10 hours of saying wait for it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems to be in touch. He's got his finger on the pulse of this bullshit, so maybe it'll happen. Chad, it's up on my channel if you want to go look how dumb it is. It's very dumb.
I watched your TMS live. That was pretty good.
Oh, that's good. That's always fun. Put that shit on autoplay. Yeah.
Were you the only one that thought of the paper solution to the?
I think I was the only one and had.
Because you could have ripped the paper so it was better grippy.
Mm-hmm. I think I could have made that work. They're all skeptical. Brian's very skeptical that I could have made that work, but I think I could have. That's worth watching if you guys didn't see it. It's very funny. We had a good time.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good.
It was great. All right, we are back. Are we? Yes, we're recording again. Great. Okay, we're back, everybody. Hello, and welcome back. Let's do a Dear Martha. We got to throw John a topic, and we haven't thought of one yet. So this is how you know it's true improv. We haven't pre-discussed what you're going to do for Dear Martha today.
Not at all this week. Last week I knew right before the show. This week I have no idea what you guys.
All right, let's say you. Okay, I got a scenario for you. You're out in the field. You're riding home, and you're riding home this week because your best friend, Sergeant Phil Spencer, he's in your platoon. He's going through some stuff, and you just want to connect with home and talk about it, kind of vent a little bit about what you're seeing and hearing from your old pal, your old war buddy, It's come on some hard times. So
Sure.
So that's our
Phil
scenario.
Spencer based Dear Martha. I
yeah.
got it.
Sorry, that's the wrong music.
Oh, that's a different vibe.
That's what is that? Oh, it's Space Harrier. Space Harrier's cool.
My
that's
dearest
good.
Martha.
My dearest Martha, I'm running forward, never backward. All right, here we go. Let's play that and off we go.
My dearest Martha, what a day! Galoot galay! I'm so happy. I've never been so happy in all my life. I was one of the early adopters of Fallout 76. That's right, a Fallout 76 hipster, if you will. I was into the game before it was good. That's how you know that I'm really happy to be here. But Martha, that's not why I write you. I write you all the time, trying to convince you to play Fallout 76. And while I've never been successful getting you on board, you know who joined us? None other than Philip Spencer, head of Microsoft Gaming. And wouldn't you know it, Martha, he is my next door neighbor. I'm so excited, Martha. Phil is just like one of us. Now, I know you have your doubts when it comes to executives. You're certainly anti-C-suite, but not me, because Phil, he's in there in the trenches. I see him gathering materials. I see him constructing a base. And you know, it's not enough to make your own home in the wasteland. You want to know that your neighbors are doing a good job too. And Phil has constructed himself quite the abode, if you will. I don't mind walking out on my trash heap patio and staring out at the great monolith that the head of Xbox has put together to show that he's just like one of us. So, Martha, look, I'm going to be frank with you. I don't know if I'm ever going to come home. I'm very content here in the wasteland with my new buddy Phil. He's truly one of the good...
He's dead. You guys, he's dead. He's. If you're wondering why John has gone silent, he is dead. Let's celebrate with this. Get it? Because he nuked it, and now he's
He got
dead.
nuked. He got nuked. He was too close to the blast.
That's amazing.
Personal neighbor of Phil Spencer.
So 2 weeks in a row, serious parody comedy or commentary is what I was trying to say about the big issues of gaming. Last week it was Sony's inability to read the room, and now this week Microsoft's. And who's doing the best? Who's actually exposing the issues? John with a Dear Martha every week.
No, that's too much praise. But what I do think you should do is really help my bit out by going back in post and adding a big explosion sound effect right there. Just a...
Somebody do that. I know people, like we've got people who edit things and do things with our video.
Yeah, you, the person who puts the podcast together, go put an explosion in it.
That's a bunch of work. I ain't doing that. All right. Well done, everybody. That was great. And now, time for this. Oh, where is it? There it is. Okay. Couple of other things in the news. Helldivers 2 drama hopefully resolved. Scott does not have to eat his hat. I said last week, not to harp on it, but I said I think that they'll back off, and they did. Not because of anything I did. Anyway, they dropped the PSN requirement. Still unavailable for purchase in some territories, though, the game. So there's still some stuff to be resolved.
Worth noting, like, they're still in the process of figuring it out. But the Helldivers United... and I gotta say, like, one of the things that I really am happy about this, besides the outcome, like, obviously the outcome is, I mean, perfect world, we don't go through this and somebody thinks about their decisions before they make them.
Right.
But, you know, in terms of resolution, you know, we talked about are refunds too much, you know, what can they do? Just going, well, we're not going to do it is about the best you could hope for. I do hope the game becomes available in those countries. Obviously, like, that's a big part of it too. But the one thing that gave me a lot of hope was we talked about how while they might not be free from fault, and even the head of Arrowhead said, look, I'm not exempt from fault on this. I'm the one who said we're not going to require it, throw a skip button on there to let people get in. So a big part of this fault lies with me. But throughout this entire process, people have kind of felt bad for Arrowhead because this was very clearly a Sony directive, and they kind of took the brunt of a lot of abuse for it.
Yeah.
You know, review bombs are reflective of their game, not necessarily Sony, even though that was the intent behind it. And I got to give a lot of credit to people. Like, this game went from overwhelmingly negative for its current state of reviews to mixed within the first 12 hours of the announcement that the thing was dropped.
Yeah, it's back
From
up.
people changing their reviews. And since then, it's gone up even further. Now it's, I think, mostly positive overall and maybe mixed recent. I'll
Which
look
is where
right
I
now.
think
It's
that,
worth
I think
saying.
mostly positive overall, and I think it was, that was its previous status before this mess happened. So I think they got it back to where it was, which no one ever does. John's right. They usually leave that shit to die. If they go and they review bomb because they're mad, regardless of whose fault it is, they don't go back and fix their reviews. But people seem to here. And that's weird.
And this is also on the back of a patch that people are not happy about.
Yeah.
So, like, the Sony thing was its own thing, but the current state of the game, there were some changes that people were not super thrilled about either. So seeing the game coming back, getting, you know, proper recognition for that team, and that team's been out there talking about the current patch even and saying that, yeah, I think we maybe aren't patching correctly. You know, they're still doing it. So kudos to Helldivers, and honestly, kudos to Sony for reversing it. Again, perfect world, we don't go through it at all. There were, we saw it last week, tons of people in the chat going, Sony won't change their mind on this. They'll double down. Sony doesn't get bullied like this. They did, and they did the right thing for their customers, and good on them.
I guess good on them, yeah. I mean, it took a lot of pressure to get it done. But, man, I took so much shit. Everybody was sure that I was wrong about them backing off. They were giving me so much crap from last week, going, dude, you're so wrong. They're doubling down. And it looked like they were going to double down, right? They pulled it from stores in territories that didn't have it, so you couldn't even buy the game there, and the people were just screwed. It looked like Sony was taking the nuke option. And then they pulled it, and I went, oh, thank goodness, dude. I don't want to freaking
For the
apologize.
record, I never thought you were going to have to eat your hat, but I did think the Discord was going to be a necessary step.
I was going to eat it. I was going to eat this hat on my head.
Get
I brought
ready,
it tonight just in case, but I'm really glad I don't have to eat it. Because
I don't think we should have make you eat that. That's not good for you.
No, the show may not happen next week if I eat a hat. You know,
Yeah.
I might die from eating a hat. Well, anyway,
That being said, I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop. Not to be Mr. Negative over here, but you know,
what do you think it'll be? What form will it take?
I don't know. I wouldn't have predicted needing a second account would have resulted in what it did.
Yeah,
Just considering that, you know, so many other games need it. You know, like the skirmish is a symbolic victory. We obviously haven't eliminated the need for secondary accounts across all games.
yeah,
Just this one.
yeah.
So, you know,
Well, again, I think the
We're still
discourse would
dealing
have
with
been
Sony.
very different if the game had launched with it. You know, I do think the narrative is different when a game launches with it as a requirement versus lets you play it for months and then goes surprise.
100%.
Sure, that was
That was the
it
plan.
felt like a change that was implemented, you know, because of greedy company, you know, and even if they claimed that they had, you know, in the fine print warned people,
It was
you know,
there.
the story was there. They took it away because they had launch problems and they were going to deal with it later.
Yeah.
But it's not the kind of thing you're like, don't worry, guys, we'll deal with the second account later. You know, you don't hype that up. Yeah, I'm not saying it's going to be that. Just there'll be some other thing. Who knows what?
I think the thing, so I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but the Helldivers, like even the official accounts are teasing that the little graphic of the red negative reviews
Yeah.
would make a great cape design. And the rumor is
Oh,
that
yeah,
they
they're
are
doing
going
that.
to put it in the game as an actual cape for Helldivers, the negative review stripes.
Wow.
I think they should make it what you get if you link your PlayStation account. I think that
That's
would
a
be
good idea.
hilarious.
That's
I think it
pretty
will
good.
piss some people off, but I think it will be the funniest thing, and they should absolutely.
That's
do it.
like the 6.5 banner in Heroes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It's very similar. I have no problem with them being that self-referential. The game is already self-referential, but here's the other thing to keep in mind. Ghost of Tsushima is going to launch with PSN required for the multiplayer portion, not the single-player portion. Like, they're still moving forward with this account thing for other games, but you can't. But they're not going to make you do it for a single-player experience unless you want the multiplayer part of it. This game's pure multiplayer, so that will probably be a requirement for future stuff that is multiplayer focused. But anyway, I guess everybody sort of won. I don't know who wins. All that outrage it was exhausting, so I kind of hated it either way, but whatever.
Yeah, I guess we win for now. Like,
Yeah, for now.
I'm still not
yeah.
I'm still not like they're still going to implement a solution to get to where they need to be, because the rationale behind the accounts was for Sony to be able to ban accounts, I think, on their end.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't affect us as PC players,
Mhm.
but because crossplay is enabled, if somebody on the PC side, if someone reports, I think, to Sony a bad experience that's ban worthy, let's say, but they're a PC player, that they have like access to those flips and switches.
Yep.
So that's going to probably, you'll have a PSN account, like maybe a dummy account that you'll never log into just on the back end, but there'll be something.
Yep.
So,
Could be.
yeah.
I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I don't care. Sign up for
Nobody's
PSN.
probably going to notice that, which is the same difference to everyone. But yeah, just,
Doesn't bother me.
like I don't really see us as if they have a problem and it needs to be fixed, they're going to find a way to fix it.
Also, by the way, so this is the other thing. I assume people nobody threw a rod when Baldur's Gate 3 required you to sign up for their launcher thing to launch.
Yeah, they didn't do it after the launch of the game.
I know, and I agree with you that makes a difference. But even had they, I don't think people threw a pitch a fit like they are here. And that's my point, is some of this outrage is very specific.
But you can't go off of what didn't happen.
No, I know.
We got the best outcome, but like, here's the problem. And a lot of people are, I heard so many people, because I took a couple of strays as a result of fighting for this, because BEAU, I think BEAU handled this exactly the way someone should have. If the whole idea is, I don't like the discourse. He listened to it, he researched it, and he went, you know what? Not my horse, not my race. And he left it at that.
Yeah.
I don't really think that people are being genuine when they go, I just don't like the discourse. So now I'm going to tell you why people are making, too big a deal out of this. Because that's engaging in the discourse.
Part of the
discourse. You can't claim that you are not into the discourse and then dive in guns a-blazing.
Yeah, but who's doing that? None of us are doing. I'm not doing that.
Yes, if you're tweeting about it and going like, "Oh, nobody would have done this if Larian did it," that's not making hay.
That's not me saying I don't want to be part of the discourse, but here's some discourse. I didn't do that. I've been discoursing. I've been discoursing.
I think, well, and again, a lot of it's coming from people jumping in comments. It's like, well, why do you need to comment if you don't want to hear about the discourse, right?
Well, sure.
But like, I just don't think the comparison to Larian, like, would it have been the same? I don't know. We have no way of knowing because they didn't do this.
Right.
This is the case where somebody did it, and this is the case where it got shot down.
Right, but a lot of these people
think it needs to be judged on this.
I agree, but there were a lot of people complaining about this not because it was implemented late. That wasn't their issue. Their issue was they were implementing it at all. So if that's their stance, then they should have an issue with the BSG or with the Baldur's Gate game or any other one they're signed up for, the dozens of others.
And maybe they do. I don't know. I like we're creating arguments.
I think
know.
For the Larian account, I think it's optional. I'm not sure, but I think it's like, get some stuff or whatever for it. It was midway through, maybe around the time of the definitive edition releasing for Divinity Original Sin 2.
And they gave you an incentive for it. They made it. They didn't just go, "Hey, this game you bought and played is no longer going to function, but we were happy to take your money, and we're not going to tell you what we're going to do about it."
Yeah, there's a difference.
Hopefully it works out for you. There's definitely a difference.
They did brick a lot of purchases because Sony didn't operate in some countries, and it did brick their purchases.
Yeah, that was just pure stupid. I don't know what the hell they were thinking there. Still boggles me, because if you don't understand your market and know that you sold, I know you're not used to selling on PC, Sony, but you had to, at least somebody there knows that it's on Steam and that's available in some territories where you're not as a PSN is not available, and to just pull that trigger without thinking of that to me was negligent and freaking weird of this entire story.
Messaged or sold particularly well, which is, again, to your point that you said earlier, Scott, Sony's great at that. Sony's great at like, well, let's do this, launch it, without a whole lot of thought on what that ultimately might mean or impact.
Yeah,
like
they didn't think about all the all the knock-on effects and stuff. And there's a lot. It's a complicated freaking video game world we live in. They should have thought of this. It's Sony,
and it proved it when they went to their FAQ about linking and changed it and hoped nobody would notice that they changed it, where it used to say is not required for any of our PC games. And then they went, oh, shoot, our own FAQ says it's not required for any of our games. Quick, somebody changed that to say might be required for some games.
Yeah.
And people are like, we already checked. We checked number day one.
Yeah, we screen capped that already, you dumbasses.
It's not going to go well for you when you try to stealth change this. They just needed to come in. Like, again, I just told you not to speculate. Now here I am doing it. But I do think genuinely a slightly different conversation would have happened if it had been clear on their website from day one that it was going to be required for multiplayer experiences. And even if they had just been like, and here's a cool cape for doing it, people would still be mad. Like, if you're going to block people from being able to play the game, that's unexcusable in any scenario. Have an answer for those people, I think, is also a key component here.
Yeah.
Be able to tell someone that's in, another country, like, hey, and here's what we're going to do for you, because we know you can't make a PSN account. I think if they had all those things, wouldn't have been nearly the issue that it was.
I agree with that speculation, and I stand by my speculation that some people complain just because it was fun to complain, and they already have others of these that they do.
Oh, there was a brigade. I mean, if what happened with the store was against an individual or something like that, it would definitely be heinous, right?
Those people, dude. Those are the ones I can't handle. Like, I don't want to be around those people. In real life, I mean. I don't want to be around people who go, yeah, give me a pitchfork. Are we going? Are we doing it? Like, I hate that. I hate that pile on, freaking mob mentality thing that kicks in with people. No one ever wants to just sit and talk about shit. I hate that. That's why we do this. We sit and we talk, People listen. They write in. We respond. It's a great relationship we have with our listeners.
Yeah. I mean, they had a barn burning, and people like a good barn burning.
People love a barn burning. They love to stick a pitchfork in the guy they think is the witch or whatever.
Yeah, but do you think this got changed would have gotten changed if people just went, hey, we don't like that, and didn't do anything?
I mean,
I think it may have, actually, because
I don't know.
They would be processing refund, like, just based on the people who had their game bricked without the option to add a PSN account. Like, yeah,
it may have come back to bite them that way either way. You're thinking,
like, there's sort of two separate things. Most of the people that I saw complaining were not in countries where that was the case, but I definitely think were countries and folks where that was the case. That's a deal breaker for sure.
I think maybe we get a different outcome as a result of the refunds. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get the impression, I don't know this for a fact, but I get the impression that the ability to purchase it in those countries might have been Steam initiated rather than Sony. I don't know that. But if
I would
Steam's
assume...
getting inundated with refund requests that they feel compelled to do, like, don't you
But
think
weren't you
that
just
they're the
giving
ones
me
going...
you were just giving me shit about
Yeah,
speculating.
I am. I'm speculating. But I don't know. I'm fully admitting up front that I don't know.
Yeah.
But it seems like it makes sense. But at the same time, it also kind of doesn't matter. Whoever's assigning the refunds, right? Eventually
Right.
they go, hey, we got to do something about this. I don't think they do something for everyone. I think, and this is why I didn't think you'd have to eat your hat, Scott. They do something for those particular people. They don't make a broad correction like what they did.
I think that's probably true. Yeah. Because why would they? They wouldn't be motivated to. What motivated them in this case was a complete freak out and those other factors. And I'm sure they had some real like self-assessment internally and went, hold on, People bought it but can't play it in those places. If they, oh shit, we didn't think about that. Get Phil on the phone, or not Phil Spencer, but just a guy named Phil who works at our company. We gotta fix this shit.
You can be careful
Yeah.
with Phil as an example.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think even if there was no complaining from any players, Steam would be complaining behind closed doors, and probably did, because I'm sure they aren't happy about issuing. That's probably a big money loser to issue that many refunds.
Yeah.
Like, they could be held liable if enough people in a country too, like if there's a class action or something, like, it's very anti-consumerist just to take that much money from people.
Them allowing
So
refunds
like there
was
would have
really
been consequences.
It was
I
smart for
think.
them to do that, though. Like, it may have been a cost hit, and they don't like it, obviously, but it's better for Steam to look like the
They're
good
not-
arbitrator.
Sony's not at anything with this solution. I mean, it's very easy for That's
Yeah.
why I think that's why it's infuriating, because it's very easy. Like, we made you very successful. Like, just keep that train going. Like, why are we disrupting the cart? Because like, just find a different solution for banning people. I'm sure they can come up with something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Which
there's
is,
that.
what happened. So
Another interesting thing happened. I love this. 10th class of video games inducted into the Video Game Hall of Fame. Here they are, all deserving in my opinion, with maybe one exception. Anyway,
Oh,
Asteroids.
interesting.
Asteroids is in there. SimCity is in there. Ultima is in there. Resident Evil.
Asteroids.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's get through them, and I want to see if we can guess which game.
See if you can
Scott
guess.
doesn't think
So
should be in
Asteroids, SimCity, Ultima, and I assume these represent the original Ultima, the original Resident Evil, the first
Yeah.
Myst, not the series, right? Those are
there.
different
Right,
games.
Yeah.
So Asteroids, SimCity, Ultima, Resident Evil, and Myst. Guess which one I think maybe doesn't deserve to be in there.
I'm gonna guess.
Astro-
Here's what I'm gonna
Asteroids.
go with. My
Asteroids
guess for
rules.
Scott.
Yeah.
I don't think he believes Ultima should be in there. I'll give you my reasons real quick.
Okay.
It's not a good reason. Because I never played Ultima, so I don't know if it should be in there because I don't know anything about it.
All right.
Every other game I look at here and go, yeah, that should probably be in there. That's fine.
Yeah.
So I'm going with the one I don't know as the one for Scott.
You are correct, and the reason you're correct is it's not that I don't respect the Ultima series, I do, but Ultima 1 is abysmal, and this feels like out of the spirit of these Hall of Fame inductees. The spirit is, as a standalone game, the first in a series, all by itself, forget about the series, forget about sequels, is it worthy of that kind of praise? I think every one of these is, with the exception of that, because Ultima didn't get good till later. And I think this is inducted based on the strength of the series, not the original game. The original game is really not that impressive. It's kind of...
Because, I think Resident Evil 2 is better than Resident Evil 1, but Resident Evil 1 was a great game and a landmark game at the time that it launched. And
Right.
you wouldn't have 2 without 1. So I think in that case, you have both. I'm not going to speak to Ultima's quality because I don't know. I just said I don't know.
I make the same argument about Asteroids.
Dude, you are so wrong about Asteroids. Okay, hold on. Let's have this conversation. Why do you think Asteroids doesn't belong on this list? 'Cause
Well,
this-
I mean, it's just really shitty, like like, I don't mean to be rude about it. It's just, it's a little arrow that shoots at
well,
geometry.
yeah, but at
you
its time,
know. Like,
you gotta, you gotta-
right. Well, the same reason why you hate Ultima 1, I think, is because, like, Geometry Wars is way better than Asteroids, but Asteroids had probably its moment in history. Like, I get it. I'm not that mad about it. Like, it's
It's classic.
It's
man.
an iconic game. Even before the Atari, I think probably it was one of the first, just games, right? Like video games.
It's early, 78, I think, was the year.
Yeah, it's
early.
very, very early. So it's like it's more for their historical context than whether or not they're still playable today. Because I still play Metroid 1. I still play Tony Hawk.
Yeah, I
Guitar
mean,
Hero missed, but I agree. Ultima, on the same level, Ultima 1 is just trash, but it's maybe for the series, and maybe it would represent an iconic shifting. It has it's a historical note.
yeah. I mean, maybe
But
part of it.
so I guess that's what this Hall of. I think it's because it's called the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, Hall of Fame. It's like the old legacy of a great thing. Like
It's
Asteroids,
not a museum. It's not when they say Hall of Fame, because if it's just like museum collection, there's plenty of games. But Hall of Fame sort of implies they're awarding greatest of all time, and I'm like, I don't think Asteroids is the best iteration of a twin stick shooter or whatever you would call top down.
It's the
shooting stick
first
game.
of iteration of it. And
But it's
honestly,
the first of historical importance.
I was an 8-year-old kid playing that game. And I know that plays a factor here, right? Like nostalgia for it plays a factor. I played it in Vegas last week at our event, and we had a contest, arcade game contest thing. And I played Asteroids, and it was like putting on comfortable shoes. I just love that old game. So it's going to be, you're going to get different answers from everybody about whether it belongs in here or not. But video games
are probably fine.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's what I think might be fun. So these 5 were chosen from 12 finalists.
Yeah.
So we each have one. Mine's kind of an unknown. It's just I don't know one of the games, so I can't say. But we each have one that we feel could be replaced theoretically with another game.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read the 12 finalists, and let's see if we can reach a consensus on what should come in instead. Okay. What didn't make it that should have.
All right.
So here are the games. Here are the 12. This does include, or actually, this might just be the ones that didn't make it. Elite. I don't know what that is.
That's based the Elite Dangerous series. It's the original Elite game. That's what that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guitar Hero.
Okay.
Metroid.
Ooh.
Neopets.
Ugh.
Tokamiki Memorial.
Sure.
I don't know that one either.
Yeah.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Big one.
And You Don't Know Jack. So is there one from those lists that you would replace the one you don't like with?
Metroid with Asteroids, like clearly.
I mean,
sorry, Scott.
I mean, okay, but I mean, there's room for both eventually, but I think that
they should all be in my opinion.
The original NES Metroid's not that great though. It's okay.
No, but we literally have a genre that's named after it.
Yeah.
That we're talking about, like, I played a brand new game today in the Metroidvania genre. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but that didn't stick
genre
till
defining.
That didn't stick till the SNES game. That's when that format. But your point's valid. I don't know. I think Asteroids deserves to be in there. So that's
I'm not getting rid of Asteroids. I wouldn't replace Asteroids for anything, but I probably, because I don't know Ultimate.
No, they should just all be in. Overall. They should just all be in there, right? Like
just put all games in.
Like, what are you gonna do? Put it in
every video game.
Well, no, but what are you gonna do? Put it in next year? You know what I mean? Like,
actually, I think that might be the case because I don't remember where I read it, but somewhere in the article it talks about whether this is their first time being nominated or not.
Yeah,
so
like in the original,
some games come back.
They only do 6 per win per year. It started in 2015. Here are those inductees in 2015: Doom, Pac-Man, Pong, Super Mario Brothers, Tetris, World of Warcraft. I don't disagree with that list. That's a good, strong.
I just wonder why what they're waiting for, because like it's not like.
Well, if you put all games in right away, people don't care. I think when you do a class every year, you get a nice focus on it.
Yep.
They're gonna have a hard time in 20 years because like the games they're doing right now, there aren't many of them, but there are lots of good games.
Oh, here's an example. Space Invaders. Space Invaders was nominated 2015, didn't make it, and it did the next year. Elite was nominated in 2016. And then nominated again this year based on what John was saying.
Yeah, it's been on a long journey, Elite.
Yeah, and those Europeans, if you ask a European player, they'll probably vote for Elite because Elite was like huge there, like massive in Europe. Donkey Kong didn't make it until 2017. Halo Combat Evolved that same year. Street Fighter 2 that same year. I don't know. This is obviously it's a popularity contest of the of video games.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of games preservation, like I get like making a, like what are the games that are historically important to people, for historical context. I just don't know what, like there's so many games.
Yeah.
Like thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
Why are you doing 5 a year? You're never going to be done. Like I think you can ramp up the rate of Hall of Fame acquisition tenfold.
Yeah,
and you'll have plenty.
It's like that old. Remember when Next Generation used to do the 100 greatest video games of all time? And I used to think that was so cool, and you could kind of quantify it, and it all felt right. I don't think you can do it now. There's just too many games.
Yeah, it would be really, really hard to do.
It's just too many games. There's bangers every day. Like in the indie scene alone, this freaking Metroidvania John played. I can't wait to play it. All right, I'll give you this. Go ahead.
It's such a hard thing to quantify too, because like you just look at Diablo, right? Like, do you put in Diablo 1 because it started it all? Do you put in Diablo 2 because it's overall the like widely considered the best iteration of the game? Do you put in the one that's the newest because it looks better than the other? Like, there's metrics and reasons for kind of all of them. So what one do you recognize? Do you just recognize each individual one, and then at that point you got 4, well, let's be realistic, 2 to 3 spots on the list, and so do you devote that much space to it?
I think you have to factor in just like historical significance, whether it's bombastic or quiet. Some games have like a quiet influence,
Yeah.
and some games have a loud influence. But you're not necessarily picking the best games, but you just say there's tons of games, lots of them were great or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so a good example would be, oh, I forgot it. Damn it.
How about Grand Theft Auto 1 in 2016? That feels bombastic. That feels like, 'cause
right,
it made,
but I feel like you would put Grand Theft Auto 3 on the list because that's the one that changed.
and that is the
everything,
one
right?
they did. So yeah, why isn't Ultima 4 here? 'Cause that's really when things actually got good with Ultima. Why isn't Asteroids Deluxe on here? Because I prefer that over the first one.
I said like I knew, even though I've clearly said I don't know anything about Ultima. I'm like, yes, Scott, you're right. It was 4.
the principle holds, I guess, even if you haven't played it. I
Yeah,
mean,
like sometimes it is a later sequel or something later in the franchise that is has been the big influence of evolution in gaming.
Yeah. I did notice here StarCraft 1 in 2021. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, good job, Asteroids.
I
I'm
thought
your
that
friend.
would be a fun, positive thing.
It is.
No, it is a
A
good.
week of drama, I thought, talking about old games that are really, really good.
Yeah, other than the big handful of hot feces Bo threw at Asteroids, that was a great story.
I mean, I feel like even Sim City could be a little
Scott's like, and I
controversial
took that
because
personally.
don't we all agree that Sim City 2000 is the better one?
Oh, by far. It's the best of all of them. Yeah. Even better than the new one they
I
tried
thought
to make.
Asteroids would be safe to throw
No.
the cola.
It turns out I have a lot.
I have an Asteroid stand. What the hell, dude?
I have a lot of baggage with Asteroids. I'll admit it. My dad had them in the garage. It was one of the machines that got girls to come to my house.
I'm walking it back.
Yeah.
I have a lot of history with Asteroids, and I'm just playing.
I'm walking it back. I apologize to Asteroids.
Sorry, Atari in the 70s. Bo would like to issue an
I was just a
apology.
little mad that Metroid didn't make the list, but Asteroids did. But it's okay. I'll live.
Super Metroid should be in there. I don't know about Metroid. Metroid was kind of poop. All right.
Yeah, you kind of got a point.
Wow, it's not great.
Yeah, I think you have a very good point about that. Super Metroid is the GOAT.
Oh yeah, I mean Metroid. It's great that Metroid existed, but like Ultima, it kicked off with 4. So do it with Super.
Actually, I think that's a really good example. I'd almost argue that the Metroidvania and Metroid really comes from the Super. I think a lot of people.
Well,
play
and the
that one.
Castlevania element comes from like Symphony of the Night. It doesn't come from Castlevania 1 because Castlevania 1 is not a Metroidvania.
No, it's just a platformer basically with a whip. You're totally right. All right, this is cool news. I'm excited about this. Wildermyth is getting roguelike DLC. Ooh. I like that game a lot already.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
I want to multiplayer it with you guys so bad still one of these days.
We need to. That mode will stay, obviously. This is just going to add kind of a FTL style path and, Slay the Spire style sort of.
But it's still considered like a campaign, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like, it is, like your typical roguelike style where you got branching paths and you're going down, but it's like still going to try and craft a D&D style adventure around it.
Yeah, I
love it.
I'm pretty excited about this. If you have not played Wildermyth out there, everybody, take our word for it. It is one of the coolest games ever. I love that game. You can no longer share you can no longer share Switch screenshots or video to X, formerly known as Twitter.
By all means, finish your tweet.
That is no longer a thing you can do. Nintendo made it official. You can't share your shit to that social media thing anymore. They didn't even say why. They just said we're stopping support for it. So nobody knows why. I don't think I ever used it. For a while that was the only way you could get a screenshot off your Switch. You would send it to your Twitter account and then download that crappy compressed version of it from Twitter, and now you had a screenshot. But then they added a way to ad hoc with your phone or with the app and stuff, and so that sort of works now. So anyway,
I think I've done things like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me. Who knows? There might be security concerns or whatever. Today I learned that if you equip in Fortnite Yoda in a backpack and you do the Zoidberg,
yeah.
you open up your you open up a backdoor to hacking in Fortnite, and they had to disable it.
How?
I don't know.
That's so
Like-
weird. That's really weird.
They had to disable the Yoda backpack because if you do it with Zoidberg, it causes security concerns for the game. Video games are weird.
They are weird.
It's time
I want
we acknowledge. just
I
how
want to
weird
I
it
want to
is.
know more about that. Like, what is the? Yeah, I'd be curious about that.
I don't know why I didn't put it in the news.
Um,
I did read it while I was looking for news for the show, and I saw it, was like, that's hilarious, and for whatever reason decided it shouldn't be in the show though.
The other thing I forgot about, and Zoravon in the chat pointed out, the API for Twitter. When Musk took over, they started charging exorbitant amounts of money to do any kind of API tie-ins,
yeah.
and maybe Nintendo's just like, oh, we ain't paying for that. It's like $40,000 a year or something. It's some crazy number. I don't even know what it is, but
It's probably better than closing a studio or something.
Yeah.
Stop posting to Twitter.
yeah, just quit doing that. And then Nintendo sort of inadvertently announced the Switch 2. They
You
referred.
see the tweet?
I did. They basically are saying, hey, this during this fiscal year, we will announce the successor to our current console. And they got no specifics, but it kind of fits with what we've all been predicting, that like this fall we'll hear what it is, and then next year it'll be for sale. So
It was just funny the way it was worded, because it was like, we won't be showing any of the Switch, the next console coming up.
yeah,
There'll just be games in the Nintendo Direct, and it's like, okay, so there's going to be something.
it was like a weird little self-report kind of. Like,
yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, I mean, technically they didn't explicitly say it, but basically, why would they even mention it? Especially, I don't think Nintendo's known for spilling the beans.
mm-mm. And it was supposed
Like
to
on
be.
things like
It's supposed
that.
to be the president of Nintendo Japan, because he actually wrote this. He did it like a grandpa using Twitter for the first time. He goes, "This is Yoka Wada, or whatever his name is." I just made it up. I don't know what his name is, but he says, "This is that guy, and here's my statement." And then he said this thing. It's like, are you gonna say thank you and goodbye at the end, or like, I don't know what that guy was doing on Twitter, but don't let him.
I think we should all tweet like that. I feel like the quality of tweets will go up better if you have to write it like an official statement.
Yeah. It's like, what's the other way of doing it? Just signing every tweet. People do that. Used to do that. So if your name was Bill, you would say, "Wow, what a beautiful morning we're having. Sincerely, Bill." At the end. I think we should get back.
I feel like I'd be less inclined to post some of the stupid shit I say on Twitter if I was signing my name to it. I maybe wouldn't feel like pointing out that I feel like flies operate on a different frame rate than the rest of the world. Maybe I don't want to put my name on that tweet.
I saw that one. I thought that was one of your best tweets because it was obscure and very strange. Do you really believe so? They're moving. They fly funny. They don't. Like
They move around like they're at, like Into the Spider-Verse. It's a different frame rate from them to the rest of the world.
Yeah,
It's like,
we're all working
I
at
don't
60
trust
plus, and they're running at like 12 frames per second.
yeah,
Yeah, it's weird.
I don't trust it. Not trustworthy flies.
No, not at all. All right. Well, there's your news. Now we must hear from our listeners.
That's a good question.
We got a couple here. These are text today, and I'm going to read this first one. This came to us at 801-471-0462. Dear Core Crew, on Fallout 4 load times, we were talking last week that they weren't significant. He says, when I first played on PS4, load times were 10 to 15 seconds. I assume he means on average. Now on PlayStation 5, they are closer to 4 to 6 seconds. That is a noticeable improvement for me, says this anonymous listener.
I feel like I wish I had Christian Bale at the ready for this, of him just going, "Oh, good for you."
Good for you.
I
might
found
have
out I grossly underestimated how long my load times were, because I had some people say, yeah, I have an NVMe drive and I'm getting 20 to 30 seconds and sometimes up to a minute plus going back into the wasteland. And that is more accurate to what my experience was. So yeah, I mean, I'm super happy if you're getting what they said. that's awesome. But they
Correct.
also said it was going to be there for PC, and it's not reflected in my experience. So
Yeah.
that's where the criticism.
you!
I found it.
There,
Good
there
for
it
you.
is. Good for you.
Yeah, I knew I had that one handy. I have his whole diatribe somewhere, but I don't know where that is. Another text from Bo. Did you have anything you want to say about the load times? Sorry, I didn't mean to run.
Good for you.
Yeah, I got someone in the chat right now. I've had load times over a minute on the regular. It's annoying. Yeah, that's too long for a video game to load if you have a drive that's whole point is it loads very quickly.
Yeah, it's not great. Here's one. Hey, this is for the Core 10 Hams line, he says. So I just saw the announcement trailer for the game The Forever Winter. I was wondering if you guys saw this at all, and what do you think of it? It is not, if not, it's basically another 4-player co-op looter shooter set in an apocalyptic future with zombies, huge mechs, and other warring human factions. It appears to have some sort of Nemesis-like system for the enemies. Looks pretty cool and possibly different from other games like Left 4 Dead or Dark Tide that might make for a cool experience. Thanks for all the laughs and the good times. And good times. You're in time. Tony. I think he meant yours in time, like John does yours in this life and the next or something. Anyway, yeah, I haven't seen much about this. I did hear about it just briefly. It looks kind of interesting. Do you guys see the Forever Winter trailer sneak peek?
I like their About This Game on Steam. They show this cool looking savage guy carrying little hands tied to his bandolier, and it just says, "You are not this guy."
Yeah.
And then they show this, like, probably what Deckard Cain looked like when he got the note that he wasn't going to be in Diablo 4, carrying a huge backpack and looking sad. They say, "You are this guy."
Wow. Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, I think it looks kind of neat.
It looks cool.
It looks neat. I mean, it's really hard to say when these things are this early and we don't get gameplay footage. This is all like pre-rendered stuff, or at least in-game scripted stuff, so
Yeah,
hard to say.
I'll add to wish list. I'll follow this. This seems interesting.
Yeah. In fact, I meant to do that earlier. Now I am listed, or now I am wished. I'm wished. Anyway, we don't know when that's coming out. It says to be announced, so I guess watch for that. That's it for your texts. Thanks for those. 801-471-0462 is that number. You can also email us at talktothecore@gmail.com. A quick reminder that we are supported here on the show primarily by your good contributions at patreon.com/core show. I'd like to welcome Adam C., Zoot, and Bruno Hewitt to the show.
Welcome to the show.
That's right, Bruno Hewitt, if that is how you say your name. These guys are in for a good time because they're never going to get commercials or ads. They're going to get bonus content. I put up a little tiny reaction to the Microsoft thing the other day that went to patrons first. Ended up going out to everybody later, but even the stuff we do that's intended for everybody, often we'll do Patreon first for a little while. You get your early access, and then it'll hop out to other people. But then there's content that only goes to you. That includes pre-show content every week, and a link to the full video archive. All this kind of stuff can be yours if you sign up today. Read all about it at patreon.com/core show. All right. I think that's about it. I think that's a show. You know what we do at the end here? We remind everybody to go to frogpants.com/core, and then we tell them that Grandma, a person we keep fed and well rested here on the podcast, she gets to tell us what games we played so that those at home who weren't paying attention can be informed. So, Grandma, take it away.
Yeah, the fact that you say that we keep her fed and well cared for really implies that we don't.
we keep her kennel clean.
Yeah. That's a good point. Not bringing that up is the better way of saying it. Now everyone's worried about Grandma, but whatever.
Well, if you weren't following along and you're wondering what the boys played, Scott played V Rising. Now that it's in 1.0, that's a vampire game. That doesn't suck. And he also played Farm Together 2. Yes, I held for laughter.
Yeah.
He played Farm Together 2.
Yeah.
It's the sequel to the wonderful hit Farm Together 1 and the precursor to Farm Together 3.
Yep.
He also played Rusty's Retirement, probably while doing other very important things.
Like recording tonight's show. I had it going the whole time, just running down
That does not surprise me and doesn't surprise our audience in the slight. Another unsurprising thing is that John's playing Cyberpunk 2077. Woo! In a world where he talks nonstop about how many games there are, he seems to only play one. But he did play Animal Well as well. It's called Animal Well.
And you made me buy it.
I got everybody to buy. Maybe Bo said
I
he
bought
might
it too.
do it.
No,
Oh, you
I
did?
bought it.
Bo did it.
All right.
It looks cool. I'm curious.
I'm going to play it tonight. I'm so excited.
Bo played
Grandma.
Hades 2, the sequel to Hades, a game reviewed slightly better than Farm Together. He also played more Manor Lords, and there were brief mentions of WoW. He also played Baldur's Gate 3, which he didn't talk about, but I'm talking about here, so this is technically bonus content. I expect a raise.
Yeah, you'll get a raise out of this, Grandma. Nice job. Go back to your kennel, eat your food, calm down, get some sleep. And be here next week when we do this all over again. That's right. Core records on Thursday nights, 5 p.m. Mountain Time, if you're so inclined to come watch us live. We'd love to see you. That'll do it for us. For all of us to all of you. Go play a game, and we'll see you next time.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.
Our hunt begins again.
Dude, V Rising's good.
I might need to try that.